What's going on, everybody? John here with you. It is a Thursday, May 29th, 2025, and we might even get a trio on the side of it. Head coached by Chris Knobloch, Scott, Connor McDavid, Ryan Nugent Hopkins, Corey Perry, Mattias Ekholm, Evan Bouchard, Leon Draisaitl, Vander Kane, Kasperi Kapanen, Darnell Ness, Brett Kulak, Adam Enrique, Jeff Skinner, Trent Frederick, Mattias Janmark with Sully Pot Coles, and Victor Arvidsson with Jake Wallman, John Klingberg, Stuart Skinner is going to be the goaltender of record per usual. And for the Dallas Stars, head coach by Peter DeBoer, it sounds like this: Rope Ains, Jason Robertson, Mikko Rantanen, Esa Lindell, Miro Heiskanen, Matt Duchene, Mason Marchment, Tyler Seguin, Thomas Harley, Cody Ceci, Wyatt Johnston, Jay Ben, Mikael Granlund with Liam Bichel and Alexander Petrovic, Sam Steele, Oscar Bach, Colin Blackwell. Jake Ottinger will be the goaltender of record. Alec, I have not covered this series since Game 1, and Game 1 looked pretty good for the Dallas Stars, but ever since then, ever since that 6-3 win and that collapse from the Edmonton Oilers, it has been all oil, and this has not been close.
No, it hasn't. The play that's dictated was 5-on-5 play, which was a vast advantage towards the Oilers. If you wanted to make a comeback reality for the Stars, they have to start with winning Game 5 of their home ice. But what's not helping them is that they were outscored 13-2 in the last 3 games. The only goal scorer in those 3 games, between those 3, Jason Robertson. He has the only 2 goals between games 3 and 4 because they were blanked in game 2. And Stuart Skinner, frankly enough, he's been outplaying Jake Ottinger at every turn. Edmonton's finishing their chances. Dallas, as we looked at the highlight package from ESPN, they have not been finishing their chances. They're getting wide open looks from Cody Ceci and Mason Marchment. They missed the net entirely. And even Mikko Rantanen, who was the Conn Smythe Trophy co-favorite entering the Western Conference Final, he's been dead silent on the goal sheet in the last 7 games. We need to see more of Mikko taking over when he needs to. But the challenge is going to be tougher because even for the Oilers losing Zach Hyman for the rest of the playoffs to a broken wrist and subsequent surgery, Mattias Ekholm is coming back onto the lineup.
So I have a couple things as far as the stats that I want to reiterate, because Alec Nava's not wrong as far as Mikko Rantanen. Again, 9-12, 21, -2, but he's got 21 points in 17 games. All exactly correct, though. They need his production. But I do want to lean in on this, because I know Alec and I have talked about this before. Wyatt Johnston, 4 goals, 4 assists, 8 points, -18. Tyler Seguin, same, -2. Matt Duchene, 1-5 and 6, -15. Mason Marchment, 1-4-5, -4. Jason Robertson only played 10 games, but he's got 4 points and -6. Jimmy Benn, just 3 points, -8. If you take Seguin, Johnston, Duchene, Robertson, and Ben, they are a combined -49. So I understand you need the production of Mikko Rantanen. But everybody else now, conveniently, if you're a Dallas fan, are calling all of these players secondary. Jim Nill did not bring all of them in, Alec, to be secondary. They've got to be so much better.
They have to. The minus rating shows exactly that. We know they're much better than the -18, -15 ratings for Johnston and Duchene they're showing. And they're much better than the net negative rating that they have up and down the lineup. But the reality situation is that Dallas is getting most of their production on the power play. They thrived the entire postseason off of special teams, power play, and penalty kill, where they've been one of the best teams in the NHL in the regular season, both power play and penalty kill. But in the postseason, when they've run to a team that can be equally as dangerous on the man advantage and on the penalty kill, they've looked flat outside of Game 1, in which the Oilers shot themselves in the foot repeatedly in that Game 1. But Edmonton learned. They adjusted. And get this. Under Chris Knobloch, the Oilers are 17-2 between games 4 and 7 of playoff series.
You mentioned that stat to me and across when I was going to share that. I'm glad that you did, Alec, because I can't believe it. I'm looking on the other side as well for Dallas and why they've struggled. Again, let's break this down a little bit since we got some time. So they played 17 games so far this postseason. They're 9-8. Somehow, Dallas is still 9-8 when, let me go down into these notes here, when they have been outscored in the first game to start. They get up the first goal 12 of 14 times in the playoff games. Dallas has also had 10 games in this postseason where they've scored 1 goal or fewer, and they've been shut out 4 times. And then a couple other things here for you. In the mix of what it is for Dallas as far as their power play, they're usually about 86% penalty kill going into this postseason. Well, Edmonton's had 14 power play opportunities. They're 5 for 14. You cannot win that game when you're not scoring. You're giving up 4 penalties or more a game, and you're absolutely getting torched. They're just not playing well.
No, they're not. And I felt that I could have seen this coming from the excuse me. I felt that there were some signs in which Dallas is going to run out of gas at the most inopportune time. When you look at the goals for per game and the goals against per game, Dallas entered the Western Conference Final with a negative goal differential. Soon enough, you'd think that they'll be running out of gas. And quite frankly enough, they are running out of gas at the worst possible time. You needed goal scoring from your secondary goal scorers, not just Mikko Rantanen. He was the main reason why they were in the Western Conference Final. Thomas Harley, you could say the same thing about being another key piece for this. But a team that on paper has so much offensive firepower should not be struggling this badly to score.
No. And again, it's going to lead me into the first intermission when we get there, Alec. Whether or not Cooper Hopkins is going to be able to join us, we'll see. But in the mix, I'm going to have some coaching discussion. I know it might be hard for you to answer some of those, but I know that you're always truthful and forthright when it comes to Carolina. But again, they did play Florida. But I do want to have those same conversations about Peter DeBoer because, Alec, we've had that as well. That'll happen in the first intermission regardless of what happens with this series. But this is where I ask you this. And I'll go through and leave my answer too. Does Dallas, we're not saying they're going to win this series because I think both of us think that that's done. But can they force a game 6? I feel like they got one last stand in them to get to the weekend. I say they win today, but it's going to have to be a low-scoring game again. I don't see Dallas breaking out. Give me a 3-2 with an empty netter at best for Dallas.
At the very best, when we speak at all 4 series between NHL and NBA in the conference finals being a 3-1, the best I can put this in the series is that Dallas wins this one. But that's all that we're both giving them. That the Stars are going to force a game 6, but the ride will end at either here or Edmonton regardless. The way that the Stars have been playing have been less than impressive. And even for all the narratives around on all storylines, what a Stanley Cup will do for McDavid and Draisaitl, the difference is the Stars, they've looked sluggish, and the Oilers have come to life. And when you factor in the fact that Mattias Ekholm and Jeff Skinner have been ecstatic returning to the lineup for the first time, this is an Oilers team that's been playing energized and with everything to play for, even breaking the Canada drought. Even Stuart Skinner, they banked on Stuart Skinner after the trade deadline. They decided not to trade for John Gibson because they believed in Stuart Skinner's ceiling. And Skinner has delivered ever since his benching after Game 2 against the Kings. Has been one of the biggest playoff risers for the Oilers. Not a guy we expect in the All-Star game, but someone who can rise to the occasion come playoff time when it truly matters.
Breaking news from Elliot Friedman here. This is just 4 seconds as I pumped it up. As puck drops tonight in Dallas, hearing Lane Lambert will be the next head coach of the Seattle Kraken.
So perhaps something that we could talk to Cooper about, but Lane Lambert's getting a second gig right after his short-lived time with the New York Islanders. There are some moments in which you would think that you'll get more offense out of the Islanders, but bad roster construction from Lou Lamoriello got in the way, and I hope that Matthew Darche is able to construct the roster his vision and to have the guys that Patrick Waugh would get. But Lane Lambert seems like a promising candidate. At first sight, you think that the Islanders would be equipped to have it, but I feel that it was poor roster construction. I want to see a Kraken team that has the right players and the right fit for everyone, and to bank it on Shane Wright's potential to see where he ends up.
Yeah, we talked about that alongside when Cooper was here initially, Alec, and mentioned Jessica Campbell and Dan Bylsma. I was thinking that was going to be maybe a one-and-done type thing. We'll see if that comes to fruition. I'll look and see more. What I did want to get to was his pinned tweet as we go through the the anthems here. So if Edmonton wins tonight, the Stanley Cup Final is going to start on June 4th. That would be Wednesday. And if Dallas wins today, they extend the series. That will start the Stanley Cup Finals on June 7th, Saturday. So that's what's at stake. My Stanley Cup Finals preview show will be a day before at 6 p.m. Eastern. So that's what we'll watch. And again, Florida, no matter what, Alec, correct me if I'm wrong here, is going to start on the road.
Yeah, no matter what, the Panthers will be on the road to begin, but playing on the road has not really phased them as of late.
No.
This year, they've been the best road team in the playoffs by far and away. And even for them being the fourth teams in the decade to play in the Stanley Cup Final while not having home ice advantage for any series, that's not really phased them. They've scored 43 goals on the road. And I don't know if the Oilers are going to give them more of a challenge, but I imagine that the Oilers and Panthers in another Stanley Cup Final, this is basically unstoppable force versus another unstoppable force.
Yeah, and I gave you full marks because, again, in the last year and a half, we've covered some of these games and covered the Stanley Cup Finals together, Alec. We've watched this Edmonton team grow, begrudgingly for some of us. And, they look as complete as it can be. Again, there'll be 6 straight finals, and alongside Tampa and Florida, you can talk about the income tax or not. I think that's a weak argument because if you want to go out and spend money, you can look at the same thing like the Rays and the Marlins and all that and all those other teams that have been bad. You can ask the Florida Panthers why they've been bad for so long. But yet, we're going to get to this point again in all likelihood, and this rematch should be pretty good. 2 teams that know what to do, but I think if it does end today for Dallas, at least a little bit in the post-game, Alec, I would just be a little bit upset, at least if I'm a Dallas fan, because I know how good this team is and the ceiling and everything else. They still got a long way to go, and they're in a good standing. But they don't want to have this conference final be the hump that they can't get over.
They don't. You want to get past the conference finals. First year under DeBoer, all right, that's a wash because you go down 3 games to 0 against the Vegas Golden Knights, who've been on a mission. Most complete team in the NHL that year. No shame in that. Last year, that felt like a little sour taste in your mouth because you lose to an Edmonton team that you were favored up against heading into the Western Conference Final with an insane amount of depth. This year, well, with the way that they've played, I can't say that the Stars were favorites entering the Western Conference Final because they looked sluggish. There were times in which they looked extremely sluggish in the first 2 rounds. And as such, I was saying that if the Oilers were to win it, and keep in mind, in between these two entering the Western Conference Final, I said the Oilers were going to win in this series because there was a feeling in me that the Stars would find a way to falter. Well, we're seeing that right in front of our very eyes. But Dallas, we think of the Oilers cap crunch this coming summer. That's got nothing on the Stars cap crunch this summer because Rantanen, Johnston, and Ottinger after new contracts kick in, and you have questions surrounding the futures of Granlund, Duchesne, and Ben, who are all free agents after this year.
And at this point, if you're Dallas and you're Jamie Benn, I think you really have to let him go. And that's one of the situations I don't know if Dallas would feel comfortable, but if you're not getting the production, that makes it difficult. Stuart Skinner, we'll talk about some of his numbers and throughout, but the last 6, 5-1, 155, 957, and 3 shutouts. Jake Ottinger, 9-8, 272, 908. Alec, if you're good with it, do you mind if I start?
Go ahead, John.
Cooper, it's good to see your face in here. We're going to go ahead and talk about some things during intermission because I have to get your thoughts. We got some breaking Kraken news, according to Elliot Friedman as well, as this one gets tied up and across the red line. And the Victory Green are fighting for their season right now. It's a 3-1 series storyline all the way across the NBA and NHL, but there are only 2 teams left. Again, the Knicks fight for their season about another 15 minutes. Arvidsson gets crushed by Ben as this is picked up the other way. Everybody's standing right now at American Airlines. We're really just getting underway. 30 seconds has expired. Victor Arvidsson off the drop from Podkolzin as he wraps it around now. Sam Steele. There'll be an opportunity for Dallas. Late arriving 3-on-2. Here's an opportunity from CC as this one stays in play. Bounces toward the right side of the wall. Long flip now. here for Edmonton as this will be gathered toward the left side red line and be sent back around the inboards. Edmonton did note, as far as some of the Sportsnet staff and all that too, with Rope Hintz's foot injury for Dallas, yes, they are indeed targeting it. It is the playoffs. They want to make sure that they can slow down his speed and stop his game. So keep that in mind of note if you see any extra slashes. Here's Rope now, picking up off the drop pass from Matt Duchesne. It was very contested as Hintz gets brushed in the corner and a feathered pass will get picked off now. And alongside Vander Kane with Dry, toward the right side boards, Lindell will loop this back around as Evan Bouchard now with Mattias Ekholm in his return. We'll go back to the right side dot. We'll play crisscross. Again, the money line for Dallas is minus 130, so they're favored here, but they got to try to find a way to score some goals. That's been the problem for them. RNH, if he gets another multi-point game in this series, he tie Wayne Gretzky as he goes off sides.
So welcome along, Cooper. Happy to have you back here, Cooper. It's been a long time coming.
Yes, it has, boys. Thanks for having me along for the ride tonight. It's certainly been quite a while, but we got the VIP crew in here tonight, and an exciting matchup, to say the very least. I know you were doing some hard work in the Open, so I'll let you get back to it. Excited to be along.
I am looking now like an icy a penalty. It looks like Maverick Bork is going to go to the box.
He saw into the lineup late, and immediately he high sticks Evan Bouchard right up into the face. That's not what you want to do if you're Dallas.
We just talked about the amount of penalties and everything else that have been taken throughout this series, and once you continue that, when we look back up into my numbers again, it would now be 15 penalties against. So that is absolutely ridiculous if you're Dallas. Again, their 86% penalty kill has been destroyed, and that is nowhere near where it was. Evan Bouchard now with RNH, McDavid now on the spin. And maybe if Edmonton scores first, this game might already be done. Sometimes you get that feeling for Florida, but we'll see what happens. Bouchard now, RNH touched near the left side dot. Bouchard extra pass, Draisaitl with a 1T, was wide open near the right post, but he missed it. As this goes back in line on the end boards and stopped by Skinner. Evan Bouchard now will do a lap. Edmonton now on the road, again on the road whites with the blue tops and the orange font. Victory green for Dallas, black pants. Connor McDavid splits the defense. He takes on 3 players, puts it in around the embankment here. Draisaitl stop on his backhand. Put this one off the glass. McDavid on the front. It's Corey Perry again.
That's now 5 straight games in which the Oilers have scored a power play goal, and we talked about Corey Perry. He's unlocked the fountain of youth playing next to Connor McDavid and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins on the top line right after Zach Hyman went down. Early returns have been promising with these 3 onto the ice, and with Leon Draisaitl providing the primary feed to McDavid. McDavid gets to Perry at the bottom of the slot, and he makes no mistake, right out of midair.
Yeah, this is beautiful stuff, boys. I mean, we're looking at an Edmonton team that, look, the writing's already on the wall. They're up 3-1. We've seen a jump in their step that maybe we've never seen from this group before, but they continue to turn the dial. And when you have a veteran like Corey Perry and you're not going to put a body on him in front, that is the result. And we are back underway, 1-0 Oilers.
Unbelievable. Doesn't take much. And that's an awful penalty for Maverick Bork. Again, as Alex said, was a late add to this lineup. High stick, 1 shot, 1 goal, already past Ottinger, and they needed to have something happen. They've trailed first in 15 of the last 18 games. We said that in the Open. They've trailed in every game in this series. And when can they get on the front foot? Connor McDavid, he was sitting on a milestone. That is assist number 100 officially. That ties Gretzky in the mix of that for the Oilers. Again, we already mentioned his name twice. If RNH gets a couple points, that would be another record for him. He's already got 9 in this series. He's looking for points 10 and 11. Arvidsson across the Texas D. Put this in toward the right side dot. This will be stopped by Granlund, part of the Finnish Mafia, who's going to be another one of those UFAs. He's sent back now for Mikko Rantanen. He's just trying to make anything happen in this series. He has been blanked for several games. Thomas Harley. Oh, he gets hip checked by Arvidsson. As this goes out of the left side red line, I don't see that very often. That got me out of my seat. As Rope Hintz, now with Granlund, he tries to finish it. A good old-fashioned hit there for Victor Arvidsson, part of that fourth line. maybe he's going to replace the Zach Hyman role. Again, Zach Hyman's going to miss the rest of the postseason, unfortunately for the U of M, man. He had about 115 hits. He had a 13-hit game in his last time out, but he's going to have to watch here from the rest of it. As this is picked up now, Kapanen will wait toward the right side wing for Bouchard, who gains the entry, and this is stick lifted for Dallas. They have numbers off the rush. It's Wyatt Johnston as he's brushed into the corner, and now Edmonton able to take it away. Kapanen now on the right wing side. He likes to go for a back pass. Wide open again was Evander Kane. Thought he might have got hit in the face. Here's a slap pass as this goes D to D. Trying to get a change now for Draisaitl as this one will be bounced toward the left side red line. Cody Ceci takes a hit. And now Dallas here for Essa Lindell. Looks for a long lob wedge. Will get it out of the zone. Dallas now needs to shoot this puck. Wyatt Johnston. This will be solved by Skinner as he gets some reinforcements in the crease.
Already, Mattias Ekholm's back like he never left with a defensive impact to shut off the Stars on an entry.
Yeah, and gentlemen, this is a game where Dallas just could not afford to not start on time. And not only does that mean bring your skill, but you got to be there mentally as well. And Bork's penalty, as we see the replay here on the ESPN side for me, is one you simply can't take. And of course, he did not mean to commit I've said slash, but the high sticking. But it doesn't matter at any time. Regular season, certainly not the playoffs. Just one shot apiece now, but Edmonton's got that marker. Dallas, I think, needs to score in the next 5 minutes if they want to make a difference in this one.
I agree with you 100% there, Cooper. This is putting around the end boards now. Corey Perry, 61 career playoff goals, if I saw that right. This is given right to Connor McDavid. Last one you want to give it to. Corey Perry on that top line. Here's the drop. They go off sides off the rush from RNH.
A lately timed pass for Connor McDavid. And I also agree with you, Cooper, that Dallas need to score for the next 5 minutes if they were to get right back into this game. Not only the game, but also the series, because they, of course, have their backs against the wall. But will they get over that mental hump?
Yeah, John, jump in there. I know you had a thought. Let's hear it, my friend.
That's what we're waiting to see. I'm just looking at that score graphic in between Gretzky and McDavid, and when you have those guys in that same conversation threshold, all McDavid is waiting for now is getting back to the Stanley Cup Finals and winning it. We're going to see if things are going to be different. Again, we'll relay the schedule here for you, again, in the first intermission, depending on who wins and who does what. 20 assists this postseason for 97 leads the NHL during that time, as it's sent back in behind the end boards. Opportunity now for Liam Bichsel. A couple of Dallas Stars can't dispossess the Oilers of the puck. Petrovich now having a tough time as this is put toward the right side of the glass. Good forecheck here for the Oilers and sent back around for Alexander Petrovich. We'll go ahead and chip it off the glass. Tyler Seguin, good outstretched pass. Got the Shane right up the middle. Finds Seguin. He waits for a slap pass for Lindell. That one gets blocked and goes back to Skinner, who holds.
Stuart Skinner's been on a mission ever since Game 2 as he's only allowed 2 goals, both to Jason Robertson. He's been all over the place. We can't imagine a world in which Skinner would be outplaying Jake Ottinger, but we've seen that last year. We're seeing that same exact movie again.
Yeah, there's something about the way Stuart Skinner is playing, and it's obviously been noticeable due to his team's success, but you just cannot ignore the fact that it seems to be personal. He's rarely in conversations about the elite goaltenders in this league, but he is on simply one of the best teams in all of hockey, and I think he's waiting for a little of his spotlight. He's certainly earning it.
He's taken, Alec, that Anton Hudobin run for Dallas when they lost to the Lightning that many years ago and putting it on steroids.
Either that or he's channeling his inner Bill Ranford from the 1990 Oilers run right after they traded Wayne Gretzky to the LA Kings. He's no Grant Fuhr, but he's channeling his inner Bill Ranford. Let's put it that.
Yeah, you got
Alec going back into the annals. He's opening up the almanacs. He's dropping knowledge on us. This is why I had to join in, boys. We're in for it tonight. If Alex is bringing up Ranford.
So, again, we have what's at stake as we're in the middle of the first commercial break. If Edmonton wins today, the Stanley Cup Final is going to start on June 4th. That will be Wednesday. If Dallas wins today, It's going to start on Saturday, June 7th. Again, the times are TBA at this point right now, but that's what's at stake. I would think if I am a member of the Cats, I'm secretly hoping for a Stars victory just to get that little bit of extra rest. But fortunately for them, they finished off the series in 5.
Well, I will give credit to the Hurricanes for showing a sense of desperation, like you said. And even though we were facing elimination, we had to show a sense of urgency and a sense of life. We were not beating the Panthers in any way, but it's nice that we were to keep up. But at the end of the day, the roster construction and how we were, night and day in comparison to the Panthers. What we need to do in the offseason is go big game hunting.
What you guys need is a sniper. To equate to basketball, you need that last shot taker.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a bad look, Ian. I would think the same thing as Draisaitl now and off the drop. Sent back toward the right side here for Dallas. Again, if they can keep this close enough and they find a way to get a secondary goal, we'll see. Again, Alec and I are saying it as much in our pregame that if Dallas is going to get one, it's tonight, but I don't think it's going to extend much more than that. But Cooper mentioned it earlier. They couldn't concede the first goal, and that's exactly what they did, even on a power play nonetheless. Draisaitl, his pass goes toward the left side. This would be deflected dangerously toward the right side of the glass. Hartley has to spin and pirouette to get it out, but he'll do so. Jake Wallman, the former Red Wings San Jose Sharks, still leads plus-minus. And oh my goodness, a long breakout for Janmark from Wallman. It's 2-0.
We mentioned Jake Wallman, a league-leading plus 13 in the playoffs. There he gets another plus. He set up the long breakout for the fourth liner, Mattias Janmark, who scores on his former team. That's now 2 former Stars that score on the Stars here in Game 5. And already it's looking ugly. Put it 5-hole off the long breakout. That's a thing of beauty.
Yeah, boys, this is one where we're just going to give you an anecdote here. There's really no way to fully quantify this. It looks to me like one team is playing in the regular season and the other team is playing for a spot in the Stanley Cup final. It's as simple as that to me.
Bingo. You hit it. And now we're going to get a timeout on the other end for Peter DeBoer. He's got the calm approach right now, but Alec, that's a 150-foot bank pass off the boards for Jake Wallman. How do you do?
Yeah, a little gritty to go with that, but not even though he's not hitting the gritty here. If we do see a gritty from Jake Wallman after a goal, it will be a thing of beauty in the Stanley Cup final or the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Gentle reminder, when I look at the scoreboard, it is 2-0, but it's also 2 goals on 2 shots against Jake.
And he's getting pulled for Casey DeSmith. What is happening?
Unheard of. We're in new territory here, gentlemen. This is unheard of stuff in Dallas.
I'm shocked. I don't even know if that's the right word to use. Did Peter DeBoer just look at the body language and say, hey, we need an answer? I think it's one of those ones, gentlemen. I'm going to get back to the play-by-play in a second. But we need to wake the blank up right now, and that's the only way he can send a message. Is that what that is?
I feel that's the way, and putting Casey DeSmith is an interesting way. I remember that he started Game 1 for the Penguins against the Rangers in that triple overtime thriller. But what was forgotten is that he left that game. I don't know if we're getting something here, but he left that game because of an undisclosed injury in the second overtime. But outside those 3 goals, he was otherwise solid in that triple overtime game before he had to leave.
Man, oh man.
This is incredible. I'm not sure exactly what to say, but DeBoer is doing something that nobody could have expected, and maybe that's the card you have to pull out of the deck. Maybe that's what you have to do, and he will be scrutinized one way or the other. This could be a move of genius, or if this thing ends up 6-0, is he going to have the dartboard, the bullseye on his back, having pulled one of the top 5 goaltenders in the league at minimum?
Corey Perry on the power play at 2:31 for McDavid and Draisaitl, answered by Mattias Janmark at 7:09 for Victor Arvidsson and Jake Wallman. What did it cost? It cost Jake Ottinger. We'll see what happens now. 12:05 left to go in the first. John Ott here alongside Alec Nava, Cooper Hopkins, and Ian Genge. We got the full gang here with us in this just crazy game right now. Here's a cross pass right in the skates of Bischel. Solved by DeSmith. Chance of the net. They say it's in. 3-0 already.
What on earth is happening here? John, we're on uncharted territory. Right after Jake Ottinger gets pulled, Casey Smith comes in already. The Stars are showing themselves very shakily. We don't know how much of an impact it's going to make, but already the Oilers saying, well, we're going to be unbothered by it. And guess who it is? Jeff Skinner says, I'm going to take this one myself. Keep this one for you. First career playoff goal in his first career playoff appearance.
And John, we're getting the replay right here. It looks like this thing just ping-pongs around, and I don't think DeSmith has eyes on it. He initially made a poke check. That was successful, but he put it right back out into the slot. We'll have to see if Skinner ends up with the official tally. Either way, 3-0 on a squeaker through the 5-hole, and it's getting ugly in Texas.
Hey, guys, I'm going to quote Chris Broussard real quick. They're done. They're done. Finito. Gone fishing. 1, 2, 3, Cancun. Or, with how badly they've shown this series, do they deserve Galveston?
My question now, as this puck goes up and on a play, if you're a fan, and again, I know you don't pay probably as much for tickets in Dallas as you do Edmonton, I could be severely wrong because it is the third round of the Stanley Cup playoffs. How long are you going to sit through this, depending on how many thousands of dollars you just paid?
Well, I don't know. Well, the game is not over. There's still a lot of game left, and anything can happen. I remember the Penguins, right after scoring 3 goals in a short amount of time, they went on to blow that lead to the Philadelphia Flyers during the COVID-shortened year, in which all the divisions got stacked up to reduce travel. So anything can happen, but the way that Dallas is playing, I'm not sure they can pull that off.
Harley now, and toward the left side from Kane. We're not even halfway through the first. Again, I have to punch that button. And Dallas is down 3-0. We talked about in that series in between Florida and Carolina how the conference finals haven't had a lot of games that have been just ridiculously enticing or competitive. But to see Dallas do this, considering what's at stake, I'm definitely going to have some conversations already playing in the first. Wraparound attempt just missed, and alongside for Arvidsson, they were a hair's breadth from making it 4-0 toward the left side back post. They could have got a stick on it. Bouchard, now with the puck possession, as this is an opportunity now for Vorselli, Podkolzin. And again, if that line ends up scoring, then that just means nothing's already gone right for Dallas. It really hasn't. Again, Edmonton's got 3 goals on 6 shots. Dallas has just 2. And there's got to be a sense of urgency as the puck goes up and on a play at 10:30.
Between this and everything that has happened with the Cowboys, I'm not sure what type of pain is worse for the Stars, but this is just slow and painful.
Yeah, I think, you can look, and whether or not you want to flip the coin to say that the NBA draft is rigged, I mean, things have been bumpy for the Mavericks as well. But you know what? Thinking about what's happening here on the ice, guys, there is absolutely nothing in the way of offense for Dallas. Not only are we talking about the Oilers, just beyond hitting the gas at this point. They are, no pun intended. I understand that oil becomes gas. Yes, I know that. But this is a game where I am stunned to see that the Dallas Stars on the brink of elimination basically don't have any significant chances, let alone a high danger chance to speak of.
So that encapsulated picture that we just got as Cooper laid it out, he's exactly right, was Ray Ferraro and Jake Ottinger next to each other as this one solved by DeSmith and help from McDavid. Had Ottinger's picture and Ferraro right next to each other, and that's got to be series of unfortunate events all over it on the Twitter space.
Yeah, it does. That picture just says it all because we're just as shocked as Ray Ferraro is.
Yeah, stunning stuff here that's already being talked about here on this broadcast, presumably every other and every post-game show around the world. What I'm looking for is any sign of life. I don't care if it's Robertson. I don't care if it's Rantanen. Give me a fourth liner. Somebody throw. Now, this is where you put it all out there. Throw a hit. Shoot a shot from the blue line.
Yeah.
Do something different and do it right now.
And Cooper, as you said, right now, I mean, it's got to happen in the next 5 minutes, correct? And there can't be any response from Edmonton. You got to start cutting into this thing.
I mean, geez, at this point, Dallas Stars fans, you might as well do some voodoo magic and bring back the Dave Keon Dallas Star. for any kind of life.
Essentially.
I like that. You know what else I like? Somebody better be out there wearing a Mooterist jersey and just pray to the Mooterist, pray to the star, the literal stars up in the sky, because nothing else is working. You got DeSmith in net. You have Ottinger sitting next to Ray Ferraro. Who would have thought we'd see that on the broadcast? But here we are. 7 shots now for Edmonton, just 2 for Dallas, and 9:41 to go in the first. John Ott, back to you.
This goes across the Texas logo now. Here is Steele. It's been one of their best players for the Stars. Again, that's fourth liner, so that's saying a lot, but he really has been good. 1 goal, 6 assists as this gets lob wedged to Smith again, closes the 5. Well, now Thomas Harley. He was one of those heroes in the Four Nations face-off. Needs something, anything. Mason Marchment off the rush. This one saved by DeSmith. He bowls over Skinner. Have to feel like that's intentional, as that was not a penalty, and the Stars were lucky for that. Sagan now, and toward the left side dot. He gets taken away there for a moment. Kasperi Kapanen will look as Miro Heiskanen now in his pinch toward the right side red line. Picked up by Sagan, back to number 55. Harley sets up a bomb. This one partially deflected. Edmonton able to escape. RNH, pretty good pass there off the glass. And this will be recollected here for Sagan. Try to drop for Duchesne. Nothing doing. Corey Perry, as we will get an offsides in between McDavid. They entered too quick.
Yeah, everything was transpiring so quick. We could just barely even catch up to it.
Alec, I'm going to throw this one your way. This is something we can talk about at more length during the intermission. But, you know, I think the Carolina Hurricanes have been catching a lot of heat. You know, what's so interesting is you try to keep perspective. Obviously, Carolina, one of the top 4 teams in the league, and I believe they've made the playoffs 7 years in a row, something along those lines. You know, there are fan bases, including my own, with the Calgary Flames that should be so lucky. You know, you'd love to take that kind of fate. But at this point, when you've reached that level, I mean, the conference final level, but cannot seem to break through, cannot find the cup, fans become a little restless. I'm not saying that the Hurricanes are the San Jose Sharks, a 10-year run of futility, however, successful futility. My question is, do you think the Dallas Stars, with what we're watching tonight, are starting to reach the level that the Hurricanes are at, where you have so much success over a long period of time but can't break through that ceiling? I mean, what must the fans be feeling right now?
This is where I'm at with the Dallas Stars. That you have all the success with you, yet all the results just lead to the same answer. That just a conference finals appearance and then nothing more. You go on deep runs with Peter DeBoer, but unfortunately, the truth comes to light. DeBoer doesn't really adjust to his opponents, and that when he tries to do so, it's usually for the wrong reasons. You have all the offensive talent in the world, great goaltending, but here something goes wrong. It's a mix of different factors. First, the defense is terrible. Secondly, Mikko Rantanen, for as brilliant as he was late in the first round, was dead silent everything throughout, everywhere else, outside the early in the second round. Third, secondary scoring has faded down the stretch, and key players have been negatives up throughout. And Jake Ottinger has been hung out to dry because of the secondary scoring being washed out. This is not like the Carolina Hurricanes, in which we were not expected to be in the Eastern Conference Final. And I believe that we do get a goal, and it is Jason Robertson. Sorry to cut all over you guys, but Robertson gets Dallas on the board. And he does so again. He has the last 3 Dallas goals.
Big one for Robo. Again, as Alex said, 3 straight for him. He has been the only sign. Alec just mentioned it alongside. This is a turnover that was uncharacteristic for Edmonton. They just couldn't get it out of their own zone. And off the stick of McDavid, of all people, Robo toward the right side dot. Snipes it bottom right corner past Skinner.
Yep.
Heck of a shot right there. And really the first mental lapse that we've seen from the Oilers tonight. And I will give it to Robertson, who has turned up his game of late. And, boy, he pinpoints that thing off the post and in. 21's got to be feeling good. And all of a sudden, I'm not going to say that this game is flipped on its head, but when your crowd is alive, you feel more alive. Let's see if there's more jump in the step of these Dallas Stars right now.
We talked about it a little bit, Cooper, and you mentioned one was ready for playoffs and one was ready for regular season. If Dallas scores again, this might be one of those shootouts at the OK Corral, and they can do so quickly. You noticed Marchment about 5 minutes ago tried to bump Skinner. Here's another shot. So, again, obviously that goal has given Dallas life, and as you said, energized the crowd. They're all standing here. Harley now trying to press it across the line, and Edmonton will use the long flip and get it out. Mattias is another one of those players that has been big time and part of the Finnish Mafia. They just got him back, but Robo, and off that injury from game 82, has now finally stepped into this series. He's been the one bringing them life, as this is offsides against Dallas.
In the first round for Wyatt Johnston, he had 7 points and a Game 7 winner. But ever since, he has just 2 points. We know that he's much better than the minus 18 rating that he has entering this game. He's much better than that, but he was the one who forced that turnover and gets a plus here, and a postseason has been nightmarish for him.
Yeah, we're getting a good look at the replay here. Robertson, John, we've done a lot of games together. I know you and Alec have probably eclipsed that total at this point. You guys are quite the dynamic duo, but you know what? Sometimes it is the true fundamentals. I love seeing Robertson move his feet there into open space. The opportunity presented itself, and he was able to capitalize because he put himself in the right position. Sometimes it's just the simple stuff.
Yeah, it is. And again, when you talk about that, the key for me, Cooper, is keeping that feet moving, as you said, because we just haven't seen a lot of that from Dallas. As Sam Steele, the last thing you want to do after Robo scores is go to the box. I think he is going to get a piece of Evander Kane toward the visor.
Yep, and we just saw that. Sam Steele gets Evander Kane up high, catches him right in front of the bench. Everyone on the Oilers bench saw that, and of course, it is a penalty.
Yeah, now here's the difference. Will we have exactly the same outcome that we did before, where we had a high-sticking penalty in the beginning of the game? Now we're getting into the latter part of the first period. We got McDavid, Bouchard, you got the usual suspects. Will Perry scores second. This is a huge opportunity for Dallas to turn the Oilers away. If they can do so, I think that will build upon the Robertson goal momentum.
So Blackwell, Granlund, Lindell, and Harley, that's certainly an interesting group. That is toward the bottom of the barrel as far as your penalty kill. Try to send this one back into their own zone, which was almost dangerous because Corey Perry was right there. He could have stripped it and got a breakaway as they try to take puck possession, but they will successfully, from 150 feet reverse, go back down the ice now to Bouchard. I don't know about that decision, though. Connor McDavid now toward the right wing side. They hit Bouchard. That'll delay that part of the screen as it was a little off pick. RNH back now to Evan. Now for Connor McDavid. He's on his backhand toward the right side. Dot walks in, shoots. Had the traffic on the front of Casey DeSmith, and I can't believe I still have that language in the part of the brain, as Jake Ottinger was pulled after 2 goals on 2 shots. 3-1 is the score. Jason Robertson has scored the latest, but now Edmonton's got their second power play, but they're having trouble staying on sides in this game. I'm sorry, the 4th time they've gone off.
Now, outside those 3 goals, Edmonton needs to clean it up on the offsides because they've been behind on zone entries, and they need to clean that game up. Otherwise, Dallas is going to take full advantage.
Yeah, you're seeing, I think, particularly with McDavid being the one to go offside there, and he was offside by about 4 strides. You're seeing the evidence of his personal desire to just get this round over with. He has business to take care of. He's at full speed. He's at 100% effort. You know that for sure. He's going to drag this Oilers team to the final one way or another. Can Dallas dig their heels in and stop him?
I think that's a really good call by you, Cooper. Is this one sent back in now for Klingberg? Stop by Lindell off the outstretched reach. They'll actually get this puck in the offensive zone. See what they can do here. Rope Hintz on the back end part of the penalty kill. There's a one-timer. What a stop by Skinner with the left pad. Are you kidding? As this goes to the left side now for Kane. They'll wait for some reinforcements in Klingberg in his second tour of duty. He was a member of the Dallas Stars. Used to say his name in defense only. He's been much better. Jeff Skinner has got one in this game. It'll be dropped now for Jake Wallman. Picked up now for Kane near the right side bumper, right in the middle of the slot, right to Dallas. It's Blackwell. Although we'll throw this one off the end boards. And that was almost a goal there for Dallas up at one time from the right dot. So that's going to bring the crowd to their feet. At least they didn't concede. 5:10 left to go in the first. This one's coughed up for a moment, but no matter, as Mason Marchment got a piece of it, but not the whole thing. Kapanen's pass. And toward the right side, Dot. Here's an opportunity now for Draisaitl. Toward the right side, Dot. Back to the point. Here's a wrister. This one deflected in front of Smith. He makes the save with the left pad. Kapanen. It's pinned against the glass, and Marchment gets hit the same way. Now Duchesne trying to join in off the rush with Heiskanen. This will be sent back around for Stuart Skinner. Putting off the end glass right into the center ice. Here for Miro Heiskanen. Wrapping around the end boards again. And try to chase for the puck now is Granlund and Hintz. There's nobody on the back end line for Dallas. You got to check back up now. Miro Heiskanen try to throw it ahead. As this one is onside here. And Enrique had it for a moment. This was Duchesne that lost it. Bishop tried to put his hand on the air to stop it, but this will be with Arvidsson, who gets rocked big time by Bishop. Then they're trying to get the puck underneath, and that's going to really bring the crowd to their feet. Arvidsson's stick goes flying. This is still under between his legs right now. As everyone trying to find it, Arvidsson probably just trying to figure out where he is right now. As this is sent back toward the inboards. Robertson now can't get it out off the glass. There's still be a spin and turn. Bishop will do some housekeeping. Put that stick toward the right side as Podkolzin. He throws some cross checks in. Now, all of a sudden, this game is really getting spicy. This is sent back in amongst the end boards now. Rolling vulcanized rubber. Dallas try to get it out. 155 hits for Bishop. 38 games played leads the team. That was a monster one against Arvidsson. As now the Oilers try to go left to right. Here's an opportunity off the long flip. And we will finally get a whistle. But what tumultuism we've had.
Now it's playoff hockey. Now we're in the Western Conference Final. Took Dallas almost the entire first period, a goal and a penalty kill. Now they're going. We got a good one in front of us.
Now the spiciness has been turned up to a maximum with the Leon Bishop hit. Now they know what they're playing war for. That Dallas they need to know that this is an elimination game. And they finally woke up. If the Bishop hit, that has to re-energize them.
That one definitely had to hurt for Victor Arvidsson, who delivered a devastating hip check in this game, and then he received a big one from Bishop. Shots are 9-6. Again, Edmonton still out front 3-1. Robertson with the latest goal. There's this one stopped now from West. A good pass for Perry. Trying to find McDavid toward the right side dot, but this will be lifted back down the ice. Brett Kulak now will stop this in behind his own end. And this back pass picked up across the center ice logo and flipped in. Casey DeSmith will leave it. This is a dangerous one for Harley. He's got to get it out quickly. Mikko Rantanen with speed. Esa Lindell flip out of the air. Sam Steele and alongside Mikko Rantanen. So Peter DeBoer is juggling all the lines right now. And this is a hit in behind the left side that should have probably been a trip. It's not called. Dallas fans are up in arms. I don't blame them. That was toward the right side line before we crossed the neutral. This is picked up the other way. Lindell now off the rush for Rope Hintz with the hurt injured foot and all. This is on the right side red line. He's trying to get around some bodies. Dallas sends it on in front off of Skinner. Right in between the dots. And this will be flipped back down. Opportunity now for Esa. 2 minutes left to go in the first. 4 goals have been scored. Edmonton still got a 2-goal advantage. But Dallas found an answer they needed. They've iced it.
Everything is happening here late in the first period. The Bishop hit, and then the near penalty that was not called. We were just as baffled as the Stars fans here on why that was not a penalty. And Thomas Harley with the greatest chance in between all of that.
Yeah, I think that in the regular season, that probably gets a whistle. That looked like a clear trip to me, and Dallas really had an argument to be made. We get a nice slow-mo of that Arvidsson hit, and that's a quality of hit that you're going to see on Dallas highlight reels, maybe a little preseason package, regardless of whether they win this game. That's how good that hit was.
Sagan, Duchesne, off the rush. Here's a rebound. Rolling puck will be sticked aside by Edmonton. But a chance right in off the rush for Dallas. Where has that been? They needed it. No even strength points for Matt Duchesne. And again, it doesn't matter how many times I say his name. You think about the former Av. Now at the Star, he's a primetime player. They need his production. As Harley toward the left side red line. Here's a pass, and Marchment can't hold the line. and that's too bad because it would have been a wide-open one-timer for him. This will be stopped by DeSmith, and now he gets held up at the line as Harley tried to get across the left side blue, flips it in. Mattias Ekholm jumps right in the fire on the top line with Bouchard. I kind of wonder if he's going to have a rust and maybe a careless turnover here and there. I think I might call that for a goal. As it's picked up toward the right side red line. Sent back in wide, Johnston with the chase. He's just got to play with confidence and know that the season's on the line. That's all that's left for Wyatt. Got a long way to go in his NHL career, but he's been clutch before. Now this will be flipped in off the glass. We'll see if it's out. It's a rolling puck, and Edmonton might be able to get something with speed. Here's a good stick chop there from Miro Heiskanen. 30 seconds left to go in this very eventful opening period. Edmonton's got a 3-1 lead, and that's what their series advantage is. They're trying to see if they're going to play Florida, and the date would happen sooner than later if they win today. Now toward the left side, Rantanen gets taken down as this is put toward the right side boards, and now Edmonton is trying to find it in their own end with Darnell Nurse. No goals in the last 7 games, longest career playoff drought. Time for one more rush. Corey Perry got to keep his head up and shoot quickly. There's a pass right in front of the goal mouth, and that ends the first. Edmonton up by 2.
Everything happened in that first period. It looked like the Oilers were going to run away with this one. Dallas did have a say in it. The Stars are playing more slow and relaxed right after that Jake Ottinger pull on the 2 goals on 2 shots for the Oilers. The Oilers, they came out attacking, and they did so in bunches. Didn't matter what line. It was a matter of how they were going to do it and how they were going to score.
So much to talk about here, guys. This is an incredibly interesting first intermission. So in regulation, 40 minutes left to go here for the Dallas Stars to save their season. They got Casey DeSmith tending the net for them. Again, that is the number one storyline for me, and followed right behind sort of a 1A, 1B situation, to keep the goalie analogy in mind, is just how dangerous these Oilers are. We have seen them. It's sort of was my opening comment. We've seen them be able to put their foot on the necks of teams before. It feels a little different here, but Dallas was able to squeal out just a little bit. They can't just free themselves, though. They have to put their opponent on the mat. I don't know if they have what it takes to do so, unless they're players like, and I hate to point one out, but Rantanen got to get off the schneid, got to get going tonight, at least a point.
Yeah, it's going to take that at least. Cooper, I'm going to have a question for you to start, because I do have a lot of the prep in there. I wasn't going to take Alec off the broadcast if you wanted to join in, so I'm happy to have the whole family in here. Corey Perry is 7th on the power play from McDavid and Draisaitl at 231. Mattias Janmark is 3rd of the season, and the playoffs from Arvidsson and Wallman. That was a great outstretched pass there from Jake, about 90 feet. They showed it Jeff Skinner. His opening playoff goal from Henrique and Frederick, and then a steal off of McDavid's stick from Robo. It is 11:40, his third straight in this series. He's been the only one scoring the last 2 from Wyatt Johnston. Getting the team stats, then I'll get into my question. 9-7 on the shot board. Oilers lead those shots. They're up 3-1. Hits are 16-11. Face-offs 10-10. And the power play opportunities 1 for 2 for Edmonton. Again, I don't know if you saw this because it was breaking just before we went on the air, Cooper. And admittedly, when I talked to you last year, in the mix of it for the coaching changes, and alongside Dave Hextall, it was Dan Bilesma and Jessica Campbell. And you and I both agreed that was probably going to be an interim type signing. If they find something that they like, or if they struggle, they might make moves. Well, Elliot Friedman is now reporting as the puck drops tonight in Dallas. Lane Lambert, the former head coach of the Islanders, will be the next head coach of the Seattle Kraken. Do you have any immediate thoughts?
You know, I think that what I like, and this is not me doing a play on words because of the Kraken and water, etc. I actually like this isn't a massively splashy hire. I think the Kraken knew that they had to work behind the scenes to do their diligence. They had to research and make sure that they're going to bring somebody in who can instill a system that's going to, frankly, bring the Kraken back to where they had a little bit of what is starting to feel like beginner's luck, right? It's John, of course, you and I reference and remember fondly the upset, the surprising playoff series win the Kraken had against the, at that time, defending Stanley Cup champion Colorado Avalanche. Listen, would I expect Lambert to be exactly the guy at the top of my mind to take him back to a place like that with that kind of capability? Not necessarily, but you know what? I actually can appreciate that they didn't just go chasing a big name to chase a big name. Lambert has earned his stripes. He's earned his opportunities. Maybe that's me being a little pie in the sky. I might be putting a positive spin on it. I think there are going to be some Kraken fans that are disappointed because there isn't as much of a splash, but that's at least my initial read. Curious what you boys think about a Seattle team that needs to start to climb up the standings again.
Well, I mean, if you're gonna look, I don't know much about Lambert, but for a team like Seattle, I think starting from building a foundation, which they tried to do, but their hires have not panned out. Lambert, I want to believe that since he's not that flashy of a hire and he doesn't have a lot of pedigree, he doesn't have the pedigree that the splash hires do, then he's going to be he should be more fundamentalist based in his coaching style. And that's really what a lot of teams, including the Kraken, need right now. To get back to the basics. To play to their fundamentals. And, if this guy's any good at that, they will become a unit because they as far as I know, they still have Matty Beniers. I don't know how he did this season, but a couple years ago, everyone was raving about the kid. They have sprinkles of talent throughout the lineup. I think they just need someone to reel them back in and make them realize, oh, by the way, guys, you're no longer the next expansion team. You're an NHL team now, and we need to start playing like it. That means for them, that means making the playoffs. Winning the Stanley Cup, that will come down the road. You need to show that you can compete against your division and make them sweat.
100%. And just to add a little context, Lambert 61, 46, and 20 during his official tenure with New York. And then I do think, John and Alec, you throw your thoughts in here too if we want to stay on this topic, or we can certainly move on. But if you have them, share them. But here's my last piece. I do think that Lambert's got a little bit of the Toronto Maple Leafs shine. Now, trust me, Leafs fans not feeling the shine. They're mad. They can't talk about teams that can't break through their ceiling. The Leafs are maybe the number one candidate for that. However, associate coach was the title for Lambert this season with Toronto. And I think the Kraken would love to be in a position like the Toronto Maple Leafs, where they have a solid core. They're playing fundamentally. They're able to build skill, build some rapport between teammates, and get themselves into basically being a regular playoff appearance. Basically just always having that discussion. So, John, Alec, if you have any thoughts, throw them in.
Go ahead, Alec.
I largely view it that way, to build a foundation in Seattle so as you can build it from the ground up so you can have a firm culture around the team that you are building through. Having your core players stick to that belief. And do remember, not only is Lane Lambert being part of not only was Lane Lambert part of Craig Berube's staff as an associate coach, he used to be a longtime member of Barry Trotz's coaching staff between Nashville, Washington, and the Islanders. So he has plenty of experience with Barry Trotz. Was part of that 2018 Capitals Stanley Cup winning team. So the experience is there with Lambert. Long time as an assistant. So he knows what it takes to win. And if you were to build that foundation, Lambert could be your guy. Now you need to start producing results. Gone are the days of the Kraken playing like they're an expansion team. Now the expectation is, will the results follow up? You brought in Chandler Stevenson and Brandon Montour on long-term contracts. And I know Mikey Eyssimont is a free agent after Seattle traded Oliver Bjorkstrand to the Bolts and alongside Yanni Gourde. So the expectations need to come with it. But such a move was made because you want to build on Shane Wright's development. Not only him, but also Matty Beniers. But with that, you may also feel the looming trade rumors around guys like Jared McCann or Jordan Eberle, for that matter. But will this foundation grow? Plus, I would also want to see the added development of Riker Evans into the everyday lineup in Seattle.
I agree with you, Alec. It'll definitely grow. And selfishly for me, I know Cooper will laugh at this, but we agree with this too because we saw them win against the Blackhawks. My Matty Beniers jersey also increased in value because don't forget he's a gold medalist at the Worlds.
You are absolutely right. Boy, 90 years, almost a century. Almost a century. Matty Beniers, gold medalist. Yeah, John, you can get some of that shine too. You are my friend.
I got a couple points before we head to the next topic.
Go ahead quickly because I'm going to expedite. Go ahead.
Here, I'll make it quick. Number one, I'm not expecting it, but it would be so freaking funny if an associate coach from Toronto went to be the head coach of another team and made it to a conference final before the Leafs.
Dude, that's painful.
Just saying, and real quick, this is a baseball thing, but it's significant. Royals starting pitcher Noah Cameron, a rookie by the way. He's the second pitcher since 1893 with 6 1/3 plus innings and 1 run or less in his first 4 major league starts.
I saw that. Not the excellent work. The Tigers will be playing the Royals again this weekend, so I'm sure we'll
for reference, and I think this is a name that Cooper and John and maybe Alec, I think you'll know. The other guy was a guy named Fernando Valenzuela.
Yeah.
Rest in peace.
My goodness. Legends. The stuff of legends, absolutely.
So let me expedite some of this here. We got some unfortunate news as far as injuries, some big ones. The Winnipeg Jets, Adam Lowry, said to have hip surgery. Is going to be out 5 to 6 months. Again, that would put him back to 100% around November. So they're going to be missing their captain for quite a bit. And during that Worlds, Bo Horvat for Canada, also for the Islanders, sustained an ankle injury. He's going to be out 4 to 6. So again, he should be able to recover by then. But they're going to miss Adam Lowry for a little bit. Couple other things really quickly. The 48-year-old Islanders general manager is going to have the #1 pick. Matthew Darch has been introduced. He announced that he's going to keep Patrick Waugh behind the bench. In his second full season with the team upcoming as the team has the first pick. There's a couple points I want to stop on here quickly. I know we're not going to have all the answers to it, but Jonathan Toews, 37, is committed to coming back to the NHL this upcoming season. Diet detox, long COVID, all that. He's been through all of it. What does that look like? And then I do have one more question here for you, and this will be extensively probably for Cooper. Because whether it's between you or Jen, I know you probably have some PR experience or you thought about that. Apparently for the Washington Capitals season tickets, they mistakenly announced that it's Alex Ovechkin's last season. Was that by accident or by design?
Oh, lots to talk about there. One thing about Lowry, I will say, obviously hip injuries are very unique to the individual. However, I do think about Sean Monahan, who had not 1 but 2 hip surgeries, and nobody's saying that he's Connor McDavid, but he came back and is a contributing player, of course, with Columbus now and is making a difference. So all the best to Adam Lowry. Horvat, tough deal as well. That is a great question about the Washington Capitals. I think, unfortunately, that is probably not planned. It doesn't feel like a PR spin to me. I think that may have been some rumblings within their inner office that made its way to a copywriter. But we'll see, John. I like that, maybe with the conspiracy theorist in me will come out and we'll see what happens. One last thought that you mentioned about Toews. Look, great story, multi-cup winner. He's had so many obstacles to overcome. He, I believe, even stated 100% is his quote that he's committed to coming back. I respect it. If there's anyone who deserves it, it's certainly him. Can he step back into a role that he occupied before? I think he would probably even acknowledge that's not necessarily true. But even if he just gets 1 season, maybe not even a full 82 games, give him 55, 65, 75 games. I'd love to see Toews out there one more time, even if it's a bit of a farewell tour.
That's how we see it, too. With John. Go ahead, John.
No, step in. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's how I see it, too, with Jonathan Toews. With the Adam Lowry injury, it's unfortunate. and such a surgery would take a lengthy recovery time for that. It's a pain dealing with hip surgeries like that, but sometimes you want to prioritize your health at first, and you cannot let those linger along with you. But playoff hockey is tough, and these players would play through any sort of injury. But I'm glad that Lowry took the time to address it because he needed to get that done. Now, Jonathan Toews, of course, I'll be happy for him to come back to the NHL and return on a full-time basis. And I agree with you, Cooper. Say at least 55, 65 games would be good for a comeback season for him. What are the odds of him signing with his hometown Winnipeg Jets? And that opportunity may open up because of the Lowry injury. Now, it's been stated time and time again about the Jets' necessity for a second-line center. And even though Vladislav Namestnikov was solid in the second-line role, ideally you want him on your bottom six. But then again, if there's an opportunity for Toews to get in, then perhaps signing with the Winnipeg Jets would be something that he would be open to. It's his hometown, and they're a playoff contending team. Ideally, playoff contending teams will want to take chances at veterans who are reliable and provide leadership. Toews is one of them.
I'm thinking about something that I want to say, but I'm not going to say it as far as Toews. I will keep it in the back of my mind. It's good thoughts, but I don't want to bring up the conversation because they're going to sound like I'm a complete homer, so I'll back off on that.
Oh, John, you're teasing us just like the Washington Capitals marketing team. Come on. You're working for the Caps now, buddy? I guess so.
Well, actually, you know what? Katie and Toews on the Red Wings. I'm all for it. Let's do it. Stevie, all systems go. We're bringing back the old man, and we're gonna go for it.
Oh my goodness.
Shoot, one last thing for me here as far as what to look like. So everyone's thinking about 2026 UFAs. At least I have time to get this in. Don't hold out if your teams, again, I'm just saying as a publicist for anybody on these 32 teams, don't hold out for McDavid, Eichel, Ovechkin, Adrian Kempe, Anze Kopitar, because they're likely going to sign with their own teams. If that's your game plan, probably not going to work out. But here's something you might want to think about. Marco Rossi, still a very young man. He's looking for a decent contract. It's not a heavy number. The Minnesota Wild might be in a little bit of a cap hell. He wants a 7-year, $7 million extension. That sounds very doable, honestly. But both the Wild, they might not be interested because it's too much money. And the Philadelphia Flyers, they're not ready to spend that type of money. He might be one of those guys that's available, even alongside Bowen Byram of the Buffalo Sabres. So maybe, if you're some of these other teams in the NHL that want to look to get something done in free agency, look to make some trades rather than hoping for the big fish.
Yeah, if you're the Minnesota Wild and you're not willing to utilize Marco Rossi on your lineup, you got to trade him to a place where he's going to be comfortable and happy in a system that can benefit him to his full capabilities. If Minnesota's not planning on using him, then trade him. You can get something back in return instead of getting more than just draft picks in an offer sheet. You can get valuable assets in return. It's better to trade him now than later.
Although I will tell you, that offer sheets, if executed correctly, can reap great rewards. Thank you, Edmonton, for Broberg and Holloway. You may win the Stanley Cup, but we took two players that you overlooked.
St. Louis Blues benefit, that's for sure, Ian.
Yep, Doug Armstrong likes to go for young guys that have potential. Holloway and Broberg fit that.
Which is why I think they'll probably make a move for Bowen Byram in the offseason. Despite all the troubles he's had with concussions, I have a feeling Dougie is going to go after him. Don't ask me why, but it's just, the fact is he's a defenseman, he's 23 years old, and we don't want another year of Justin Falk and Nick Leddy.
So, Alec, if you want, go ahead and take the second period. And in the second intermission, I have some coaches' questions, and I also have something that I got to hit with Cooper exclusively because we haven't been able to be on the cast. as far as talking about the Leafs. I know Wall joined in on that discussion as well, but I do have to give his thoughts. But, Alec, you can get set to take this away. We're still looking at Jake Ottinger on the bench, unbelievably.
We just can't believe that he is on the bench now. This just doesn't feel real at all, guys.
Not at all, but we're going to get through it one way or another. It's just, can the Dallas Stars get through it? That's the big question. They got to make a huge impact here in the next 20 minutes.
They have to. And they've scored the last goal, but you'll want them scoring the next goal and then the goal after. Second period is underway. Alec Nava, John Ott, Cooper Hopkins, and Ian Genge. It is the quartet here. Game 5 of the 2025 Western Conference Final. Ottinger allowed 2 goals on 2 shots. Pulled after 7 minutes and 9 seconds of playing time. Sent in deep towards the left side of Skinner's cage, and it's iced as Klingberg touches.
So, Alec, I'm going to be completely honest here. As far as for Peter DeBoer, I don't think you have to go into that locker room, honestly. If you're a coach, this is probably the easiest job you're ever going to have. It's all on the players here at this point. They know what's at stake. They got to go out there fast, physical, and heavy, and lay it all on the line. Get shots quickly on Skinner.
Quickly.
Yeah. Alec, jump back in there. You got it. I'll throw mine in the next time we get a break.
Ekholm blasts one high. It'll be held by Bouchard deep right point. Corey Perry keeps this one around behind for RNH as he's watched by Cody Ceci. Breaks free and then going back for Bouchard. Not unleashing the signature Bouch bomb that he's been known for on the power play. As Ranton, who has not scored in 7 games, that ties him for the longest playoff drought of his career. Bouchard tried to get away from Granlund. And it will be handled by Ekholm up for RNH. Dumped onto the far corner that barely misses Esa Lindell. Back across for Miro Heiskanen. RNH all the way across to McDavid. Perry overskate the puck. Holding it is Brett Kulak, a left shot D. Heiskanen picks it up on the board pass. Intended for Victor Arvidsson, the former Nashville Predator. Taken inside by Dallas as it's Jason Robertson spinning and twirling back. Robertson will look as he is watched from behind by Arvidsson. Beautiful defense by the Oilers. Good job on prying this puck free. Here's a 3-on-2 if they hurry up. Yeah, Mark tried to set it ahead for Arvidsson. Lindell closed that all over. Right behind the play, Robertson tried to pick it up. Up the far half boards. Dallas wants to get something. They scored once, but it's not enough. They need the next 2. Skinner plays it away from Wyatt Johnston. Dangerously right onto Tyler Seguin, but bounced back right onto Kulak. Nurse. Flip back from Podkolzin to Kulak. Overskate the puck. Duchesne can't handle it, but he holds it inside. Seguin closes inside. Seguin tied up by Mason Marchment. Skinner is out of his crease. And here's a penalty coming up.
Kulak scoring the box.
Now, this is an opportunity, guys. Pardon the delay on the mute button there. You know I'm good for that once or twice a broadcast. But this is the opportunity, very similar to our first period, but it's the mirror of it. Now it's not the Oilers taking the early man advantage. It's going to be Dallas. They're at home. The crowd is ready. Must capitalize. Italicize that. They got to.
Yeah, Kulak did not make that look like any sort of accident. That was a hold for about 15 seconds.
No, he didn't.
Go ahead, Alan.
Yeah, but it seemed like he had no choice because he was forced into a dilemma. Brett Kulak 2 for hooking, and Dallas' power play is going to work here. They have to take advantage here. Mikko Rantanen walked on that first shot held in by Thomas Harley, who has been absolutely electric here this postseason. The Shane shot blocked, going back for Harley, who holds. Deep shot blocked in front by Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, who's been an animal on the penalty kill. Uber reliable defensively, and teams will love to have a player like him as a Swiss Army knife. Florida has one of their own in Evan Rodriguez. Edmonton has RNH as one of their long tenure guys. He's the longest tenured Oiler. This pass barely made its way to Harley, going back for Duchesne, spinning and twirling at the far corner. Back for Harley on the bounce pass up the far wall. And a quick shot was blocked by Ekholm up front. Rantanen trying to hold this one inside for Dallas. Comes back for Duchesne far corner. Immediately pressuring is McDavid, who gets it all the way out. This is perfect execution on the penalty kill. Oilers make a partial change, shorthanded. Back for Rantanen. Near half boards for Harley. Spinning one down low for Marchment, who is tied up and doubled. The Oilers want to shoot it down the ice, and they will. Once again, execution time, excellent. And McDavid spending more time shorthanded in the playoffs. It was just about quadruple the shorthanded time in the playoffs compared to the regular season this year. Robertson in trouble right behind the goal. He has the last 3 Dallas goals. Miro Heiskanen for Michael Granlund, who's closed off at the right circle. Granlund spins and twirls for Heiskanen. Back for Granlund, who closes in. Granlund, Podkolzin reaches in with a stick and pokes it away. And when the Oilers went down, Granlund trying to keep with the puck with 13 seconds. Puck comes out for Marchment, and it could not be played by Heiskanen at the point. 7 seconds, as it is Granlund on the re-entry. Wallman hounds Marchment, and fans want another penalty. Their whole arm up is in the air. We're at 5-on-5. Bouchard touches up, still no arm up in the air. An excellent job by the Edmonton Oilers to force the Stars to no shots on the power play. All the way down.
Zero shots on the power play, boys. They were 42.9% on the power play at home during the regular season. Didn't look like it right there. That was a rough one.
Very rough as the puck was iced.
Again, you talk about it, and that's a perfect graphic you can lean into, Alec. 170 minutes of lead time for the Oilers since Game 2. Nothing for the Stars.
Zip. Nada in terms of any signs of life when trying to play for the lead. And ever since the Game 1 debacle, the Oilers look like a team, like a man possessed in all sorts, but make that as 20 men possessed. Cody Ceci, the ex-Oiler, fires around the near side. He's not the only player playing against a former team. You look at the guys like Mattias Janmark, John Klingberg, and Corey Perry. Evander Kane's inside, trying to wrap this one around. Casey and Smith, oh my goodness! That might be the biggest save of the game!
I'm looking at it now, right off the rush. There's a wrapper opportunity for Evander Kane. He just had that sixth sense, didn't he? Toward that right side post, close it off any way you could. Hold that goal line, and he did just that. Got it with the legs.
Boy, that is a heck of a play right there. Little bit of help in the crease from Lindell, but it is to Smith with the legs. He goes lobster. He closes the claw behind him, and that's an impress. What you got to do. I hope that his team takes notice, because that kind of selling out is what must happen if they are going to climb back, the Dallas Stars.
And we've seen some of this in Game 1 between the Rangers and Rangers and Penguins in 2022 when the Smith was a Penguin in that triple overtime thriller. He left the game in the second overtime, but he was nonetheless fantastic, stopping 48 of 51. Henrique's shot is blocked as Dallas wants to get out their own zone. They will, but it was poked away, brought back in by Jeff Skinner. Longtime Carolina Hurricane sharp angle shot didn't go there, and Dallas will bring this one up. Ranson and overskate the puck. He'll touch it back for Ceci, the ex-Oiler. Ceci wanted to drop it. His defensive partner, Darnell Nurse, bumped into him. These two are so familiar with one another, Nurse and Ceci. They understand each other's games, being defensive defensemen that can hold their own. They have their ups and their fair share of downs here, but nonetheless, they've been stout defensive defensemen. Ekholm chopped away at the puck, and it'll be scooped up by Arvidsson and fired down the distance. McDavid can't pick it up as he was beat out to the puck. Robertson got this by Perry, knocked away by the Oilers. It'll be McDavid setting it back. Ekholm. Mattias Ekholm bringing it to Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. From the near side. Ceci is the first one back. There was an Oiler in the way. RNH. The Stars jump ahead with Maverick Bork, and it was played with a high stick. Hand pass.
Yeah, that's exactly what we get, Alec, as this play is blown dead. All of a sudden now it feels like the Oilers are starting to find their footing after that DeSmith save. You know, it's kind of funny. You think about the psychology of everything. You're bringing him into this game, and DeSmith really has no room for error. He honestly can't afford to give up any goals if Dallas can come back to win this game.
That's a great point, John. The mentality you have to have as a netminder in general is you got to be locked in at all times. But there's a different level, and Dallas and everybody rooting for the Stars, myself included, is hoping that Smith can get to that level. Looks like he's there. Can his teammates get there? We're back underway. Alec, back to you.
And I might be conflicted because I'm seeing two former Penguins here on this Western Conference Final as Skinner makes another stop. Big Stu has been outstanding in the Western Conference Final. In wins, he has the highest save percentage of any goalie at .985. Thomas Harley cross-checks his man. We stay put. Kapanen brings it back for Bouchard. He breaks his stick on the Bush bomb, and a rebound is stopped by DeSmith. That's one of the rare times in which we see Bouchard break his stick. Kapanen holds, goes to the high slot. One-timer is fired wide. Kane holds it inside. That was Leon Draisaitl with the one-timer from the right circle. That's dangerous. He loves to fire those one-timers right circle, even if it's those deep one-timers, like he loves to do on power plays. And as I was trying to get back onto my point, conflicted because we have former Penguins left and right. You have DeSmith as the backup goaltender to the Stars, and you have Kasperi Kapanen on the Oilers. So I'm a bit conflicted here. And then Jeff Skinner, a former Hurricane, on the Oilers as the play is blown dead. So I'm kind of conflicted on who to root for.
Thomas Harley just missed that right side of the crossbar. He had the right idea off the left. DeSmith was able to slide over. That's not easy. That stick went farther than the puck.
Yeah, and John, you made a great observation earlier. It was a general one, but a really sharp one that you said that Stars were starting to find their footing, and they are. The one theme I'm seeing here that they have to not retract, but just flip on its head is the difficulty getting out of their own zone. I've seen 3, maybe 4, even 5 turnovers where they're trying to exit the zone with passes to the neutral, and they cannot get it past the blue line. The Oilers are being very opportunistic. It hasn't come back to bite Dallas. I like that they're finding their footing here, but cleaning things up has got to be of the utmost importance.
Yeah, it does, because really, as you said, they can't play from behind. Casey DeSmith has been about as good as you could expect him to be. 11 of 12. He spotted Stuart Skinner 3 goals. He's been 6 of 7. He hasn't had a lot of work to do. And Cooper, I've said this before in some of the games that we've covered, especially that one you think about last year, and between Vancouver and Edmonton, if you just work Skinner enough, this might be one of those games where you can find a way to get back into it, maybe win, but you got to get more shots on goal. And again, it starts with zone entries, as you said. They got to push the other way. They got to do so a little bit cleaner.
Not only do you need to send people towards the net, you have to finish your chances and when getting scoring opportunities towards the net. Those are the 2 keys that Dallas needs to take.
Peter DeBoer is the one that said, I think more so than any coach so far in this series, I hear him after every game, my team misses the net a lot.
Well, it just happened, John. You're absolutely right. Harley had a good backhand chance. I know the backhands, comparatively speaking, are the toughest to control. He almost picked the top corner. When you're in that close, yeah, Alec, you mentioned it, you got to finish. I know that that's a tough request to make, but when everything is on the line, you gotta dial it in. You just have to dial it in. We'll see if the Dallas Stars can do that. 12:53 to go in the second. We're back in the play-by-play. That's all yours, Alec.
When the Stars allow at least 3 goals in a postseason game this year, they're 2-8. But when they allow at most 2, they're undefeated, 7-0. 5-0 the shots in favor of the Oilers. The Stars have yet to record a shot on goal. The closest they come to was Thomas Harley with a backhander that went over the net and never even tested Stuart Skinner. RNH will restart up ahead McDavid. He can't do his usual magic as Cody Ceci stick that one away. But it comes back for Ekholm. Mattias Ekholm towards the penalty box Stores, gets spun around. DeSmith will play this one out on his backhand to Ceci. The Oilers have doubled the Stars in shots as there was a cruncher towards the penalty box doors. It will be started up on the rush by Ceci. Usually a defensive guy, but sometimes defensive guys would jumpstart the rush at times. This puck batted down. Podkolzin, Janmark, and Arvidsson on the rush. 3-on-2. The trailer is Nurse. Nurse the shot. It's bounced up off the bar and then off of the Smith. Stayed out. That was an awkward looking chance as the Stars, they get denied entry at the blue line, and Stuart Skinner will play this one towards the near boards, but Kozin lifted this one 60 feet, and it comes back down where the Stars will jumpstart the rush. Back across is Alex Petrovic. Petrovic sent this one deep off the near boards. Marchment deflected it. Wallman played this one over to Adam Henrique. On his backhand, got this one around. Miro Heiskanen. Heiskanen got bodied up by Henrique. Henrique was down on his knees. Pursuing the puck now is Trent Frederick, the ex-Bruin. Mason Marchment going back. Skinner was going after the puck. This bounced up and will be collected by Duchesne. minus 15 entering this game in the postseason. 0 shots in this period for the Stars. They need to start firing at the net. Skinner will do that now. It hits Skinner right off his pads. So there's the first shot on goal for the Stars in this period. Duchesne gets closed off by Henrique right behind the crease. Duchesne sets it out for Thomas Harley, and now Miro Heiskanen will go back across for Harley. Deep shot, stopped by Skinner, and the rebound. Nothing there at the swat. Heiskanen on the hold. Back up another deep shot. Never deflected onto the goal. John Klingberg getting in the way of Marchment. Up the far half boards. And Sagan just held his own. Back down low is Marchment as Klingberg is all over him. Frederick. The Stars gain their best pressure here. In the second period, cross-ice pass. Marchment gets tied up by Kane. Excellent defense by the Oilers and a great recovery. It's nearly a minute of zone time for the Stars, and they're peppering the Oilers, but not a lot of shots on goal. Jake Wallman, rather, was the one who close-stopped Heiskanen. Right his own zone is Lindell. Goes far side on the entry. Across the ice, this puck bounced towards the far half boards off the block pass. This makes his way to Robertson, and from Skinner, trying to stuff it home, and came behind the net for Klingberg. Played it right onto the stick of Ceci. Throw one right off the blocker of Skinner. Harley rushes across to keep it. And an intercepted pass by Ekholm gave it right back to Wyatt Johnston, who falls down. The Oilers tried to play keep away, but the Stars are closing inside. Skinner a big save, and the rebound is wide off Johnston. This is the best that we've seen of the Stars in this period. Where has that been the first half? We're now in the second half of the period. Dallas has been gone all gas, no breaks. Thomas Harley looks for a corner, setting up in front. Skinner another save, and another one went off of Skinner just barely, and it exits out after a massive humanity and a delayed penalty against Edmonton. After the matter of fact, it'll be Rantanen on the hold for Robertson on the near half boards. Where has this been?
You go ahead, Cooper.
Simply exceptional. This is a different Dallas Stars team than we've seen not only tonight, gentlemen, but potentially in this playoff run. I haven't seen shifts strung together like that by the Stars really since we began the Stanley Cup playoffs. A couple of near misses, Skinner playing out of his mind. This is what we thought we would get. Alec, you talked about the debacle in Game 1. The Oilers had already played that song. They learned their lesson against the Kings. I think they thought it would be easy to knock over the Stars tonight, and it was for the first 5-10 minutes of the first. Different game now as we head to break. John, I got to hear your thoughts. Really fantastic stuff from Dallas in the last 5 minutes.
You know, it's interesting because if you look at the back half of that 90 seconds of zone time, I was about to lay into Matt Duchesne. And alongside first production and lack thereof in a 1.56 minus 15. Because he had an opportunity in behind the net to play it off the back end off a wrap. He liked it to pass. He throws it right to Maverick Board to get picked off. But you know what? His team picks him up. They work pretty well and alongside with Bork and Heiskanen and fire some shots at the net. Forced Stuart Skinner actually did not have to use the MyPillow, keep his eyes awake and start tracking the puck. And then you know what? Maybe this starts to creep in some doubts to the Edmonton Oilers. Not in the strange for the whole series because they're up 3-1, but to show that another team is game for this because Dallas has been getting pushed around. And if it wasn't for that collapse that the Oilers had where they give up 3 power play goals in the third period, this would have already been done. This is the best the Stars have looked to this point, period.
Period. This is the best that we've seen of Dallas outside of Game 1. At 5-on-5, they need to play better at 5-on-5 because they were getting dominated at 5-on-5 throughout this series. Every third period, they enter trailing by at least 2 goals in the first 3 games. Game 4, they enter trailing by 1 goal. But you want to get one back if you're the Stars, whether it be special teams or 5-on-5. It doesn't matter how you score. It doesn't matter what way you score. What matters is that you score. Back here, as the Stars are getting to work, and this one settled down, Robertson gets tied up by RNH. An excellent job clearing down. The Oilers PK going back to work as they are doing an excellent job killing out penalties. Rantanen sends it inside. It'll be Skinner playing this one out. This one off of Rantanen is picked up by RNH. And McDavid, or rather, he'll be sending this one himself towards the Smith as he has no short-handed lane. Thomas Harley will start up. For the far side, knocked away by McDavid. McDavid closed off in time by Harley to keep this alive for the Stars. They need to score here on the power play, and they need to think back to the magic that worked in Game 1. Wyatt Johnston, through the far side, Jason Robertson, shoved off to the far half boards, Rope head centers one up for Rantanen. He overskate the puck. Back for Harley, left circle is Robertson, Kerwin drag, Rantanen fires, big save by Stuart Skinner. He's been a 1 all series long since Game 2. Harley keeps it inside, Rantanen near quarter, shoved by Darnell Nurse, hits, bringing it back for Harley. Harley looks high side, hits, down low for Rantanen, he surveys, has no shooting lane. Rantanen still waiting for a passing lane. He has to go towards Harley. Harley high swap, blocked by Podkolzin. Johnston, centering pass and scores! The Finnish Mafia!
Go ahead, Cooper.
This is exactly what needed to happen, boys. We set it up. We put it on a tee. The Dallas Stars got out their driver, and it's right down the middle of the fairway. They are in the green of their jersey very soon if they can tie this thing up. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. That is a fantastic sequence over the past 5-6 minutes or so. Dallas has, I will say it now, they are still down by 1. If they can maintain this level of play, John, this game is flipped on its head. Exactly what needed to happen. Stuart Skinner finally took a man advantage, broken, and that is in off of a stick of one of the Oilers. I believe it was Kulak.
An unfortunate
and
bounce.
I'll jump right into this again, Alec, but another power play goal in this series. What an extra set of passing there for Wyatt Johnston to find Rope hints unabated right in the middle of the slot. It's a 1-goal game.
And unfortunate for Brett Kulak is it went off his stick. He was trying to block it. Sometimes you would have to use your body to block those shots. That time, it was the stick as it deflected off of him. I get what Kulak is trying to think, but sometimes just let that one go and make Skinner make the save. As we are back here.
This is the beauty of hockey. The beauty of hockey, boys. It took the Dallas Stars half of a game in the Western Conference Final to get to this level of play. They can stay here. Look out, Edmonton.
But the near side, this pass went towards the neutral zone. But this is the best that we can see of the Dallas Stars so far in this game. What we know that they're capable of, especially at special teams. But the far side, centering pass, Kane gets tied up by Heiskanen. Kane frees it up. Draisaitl can't handle it. This could be a 3-on-2. Draisaitl's getting back on defense. Tyler Seguin for the near side. Seguin going for Duchesne, gets tied up. And this centering pass bounced off several bodies. That means Duchesne can't get the shot. Lindell raises one around for the far side. Seguin tried to slide for Heiskanen. And one Oiler was in the way. That was not tracked. Back inside, offside against Dallas.
And I'm not saying this to be funny or anything else, Ian, because I agreed with you right at the point when it was 3-0. I thought this game was done. All of a sudden, you give up a couple of power plays there. Dallas get a chance to get some momentum, and now they're looking like a completely different team.
I said 1, 2, 3 Cancun at the beginning because I really thought they'd quit. But I'll be the first to put my hand up and say I was wrong.
Me too. Go ahead, Alec.
Yeah, they're not going down without a fight here in Game 5 of the Western Conference Final. Elimination game. Nothing there at the slot. And another big hit. Stars fans wanting a penalty, even though he was ran down from behind. Not much of that to be deemed a penalty, though. Kulak wanting to make up for his block that led to the goal. Colin Blackwell kept it around. Jamie Benn looks to center. Up front! And he'll tangle up right at the slot. Janmark plays this one out. Up for the far side. Blaine Bishop. Around for Alex Petrovic. Trent Frederick put him towards the wall. Hard play to take down. For the near side, this one set up by Grayland. For the near side, past Perry. Perry tried to take it slowly as this gets sent back towards the neutral zone. Stars wait. They'll shoot this one around. For the far corner, Kulak tying his man up, freeing up space for Grayland. A one-timer. Big save by Skinner. All the way down. Here's the breakout. McDavid! He scores! What can you say?
What is even happening in this game? My goodness.
John, that's a question that I'm not sure we're going to be able to answer for months, years. We could take historians to figure this one out. But you know what? Leave it to the captain of the Edmonton Oilers. Leave it to 97 to do what looked like couldn't be done in the remainder of this second period that's been really except for the first 3 minutes or so, all Dallas. McDavid moves differently than any other hockey player in the world. I think any other player, maybe save Draisaitl, guys like McKinnon, maybe, and rest in peace. I do think of Johnny Gaudreau. You're probably catching that player. But you're not catching 97, and he's there. He's past to Smith, past the right pad. It's 4-2. Shades, and we made comparison between the Carolina Hurricanes and the Dallas Stars. A little bit of shades of the Panthers win over the Hurricanes last night, where the Canes did a great job to push back, but the Panthers were just too much. Is that what we're seeing right now?
Fellas, what's happening in this game, I'll put it to you like this. Not even the show Breaking Bad produced a substance of the quality that we have all ingested and we have ingested while watching this game.
Oh.
Go ahead, Alec.
Well, the Oilers are not in danger right after the power play goal by the Stars. They are the danger. Let's put it like that.
Connor McDavid has been the answer. Again, we talked about it all night. You need someone to step up there and carry on the back. Cooper brought it out there earlier. You close it out in the last 4:30.
That's why he's the best player in the NHL. Corey Perry wanted to go back to McDavid. He has as many goals in this Western Conference Final as he has the first 2 rounds. Ekholm almost deflected by R&H. And it looks like the top line is having themselves a party right after the McDavid goal. It's 4-2.
And you said it, Cooper, and I'm thinking the same thing now as I look at that as we go to break. Again, we're just outside of 5 minutes of the second. But is that fourth goal going to be enough to be the backbreaker? Because Dallas had fought so hard, and then you get the captaincy the other way. I know Hintz is dealing with the messed up foot and all that, but you're going to give him a rocket skate, and he's not catching up to that forehand backhand from 97.
No, and we just see the slow-mo replay right there. And, understandably, Connor McDavid, to get to the level that he's reached, which you could argue maybe 1 or 2 or 3 other hockey players have ever occupied, and we're talking about the greatest to ever do it. I saw a look in his eye after scoring that goal that is maybe not like one I've ever seen from him before. He does see, I think, Alec, it was you referring to a man possessed. Well, it was the team possessed that you were talking about, the man behind the team, the heart of the team. He's wearing the C on his chest. It's Connor McDavid. It always is. Give Leon Draisaitl all the credit he deserves. Give Corey Perry all the credit he deserves for scoring gritty goals and making big plays. The Evander Kanes of the world. Hyman, of course, not in tonight, but a big difference maker. It comes back to Connor every time. Now, I'm not saying a 2 lead is insurmountable. I think Dallas knows that. We're not going to write off Dallas now just because of 1 goal. But something about the way that it was scored and who scored it, that does resonate.
That's why he is the best player in the NHL year after year for his ability to take over games in the clutch. And I know it takes teams heartbreak to learn and possibly win championships. We don't know if the Oilers are going to get revenge for last year. That's for an entirely different discussion, and we may be getting ahead of ourselves. But because there's still 25 more minutes to be played of Game 5 before they can advance to the Stanley Cup Final. But the Oilers, they know they have unfinished business, plain and simple.
32 speed bursts of over 22 miles an hour. I mean, are you absolutely kidding me? You got Rope hands right on his back, but it's no problem. I'm just going to go backhand, forehand, and just lift that right through the 5-hole of the Smith. I mean, that's unfair.
That speed is ridiculous every time we watch from up top.
Yeah, he made Rope Hintz look like he was some fourth-line enforcer from, the early 2000s. It's crazy. It's crazy. I mean, it's just Connor McDavid doing what he does. That's all there is to it.
Aging Jared Bowl, anyone? Charlotte, North Carolina native?
Well, that makes me think, and now I'm just saying names that you reminded me of. How about Brandon Bollig? We're talking about old Chicago Blackhawks. Let's bring Brandon. Does he want to commit 100% to coming back? He can be the enforcer for Kane and Taves on the Red Wings. How about that? Come on,
And the Oilers almost get a 5th goal. It was the third line that's buzzing Jeff Skinner. He won another one. That's how hungry this Oilers team is. They want to win a Stanley Cup. Of course, they've waited 32 years they've waited 35 years for a Stanley Cup to return to Edmonton. Canada has waited 32 years since the Montreal Canadiens won it in 1993 behind Patrick Roy, Guy Carbonneau, Vincent Dampus, and everyone on that team. Kirk Muller, too. Don't forget about the assistant coach of the Washington Capitals, who used to be a head coach of the Carolina Hurricanes. Darnell Nurse. Gone are the days of him being a -16 in the postseason. He's now a solid defensive presence and was a +1 entering this game in the postseason. It's a solid improvements for him as he learned from the past. Held inside the right point, and it comes over to Evander Kane. Comes right out in front, and then was intercepted on the shot. But Dallas, they need something here. They need 2 goals. They're back to where they started this second period. Pass comes to the top of the left circle. Quick shot. Went behind Skinner. Not on the net as he made the stop. Marchment trying to go after it. We don't know where he's going to end up because he's been involved in trade rumors because of Dallas's cap crunch in the summer. And so Lindell brings it for Matt Duchene, now Tyler Seguin, and there's something. Just an offside.
Yeah, just a stoppage and play here, Alex. So again, if we get to a Game 6, that'll be Saturday on ABC. If not, Game 7 Monday on ESPN. But, I mean, that's if and when right now. Does Dallas need to score here in the 2:48 of the second in order to stay alive in this game? That's my critical question right now. Do they need to score in this period to win?
Yes.
I think it's a no-brainer.
Yes, they do. Because if McDavid isn't going to get another one, you know Draisaitl is lurking and is like a shark and smelling blood in the water.
Agreed, and I'll just say that Dallas is, in this game at least, has not shown the ability to start fast coming out of the room. So you got to get one here. 2:25 to go.
People jabbed on Draisaitl for his lack of defense as the puck is iced, but people jabbed on him for his lack of defense. But once Chris Knoblauch came in, that was the best thing to happen to him as he's become not only a Hart Trophy candidate, but one of Edmonton's better defenders 5-on-5.
Is there really even anything we can even add to it when he said he got 46 games there for Connor McDavid of 2 points or more? I mean, that's absolutely insane. He's 1.58 all-time behind Gretzky and Mario Lemieux.
Guess the top 10 conversations are more than warranted for Connor McDavid once it's all said and done in his career. 1.58, that's third all-time. Then you have Evan Bouchard, who is second all-time in points per game among defensemen behind Bobby Orr. That's unheard of company for the Oilers as McDavid. He'll stop right in front. His puck almost went in the net. But Smith got 90% of it, but it footed right behind him and it was kept out. Nobody from the Oilers was right in front to tuck it in on the rebound. Corey Perry, who has been channeling his Anaheim Ducks fountain of youth, for the Oilers on the top line next to McDavid and RNH. He just dumped it in, and Jason Robertson sent it across. Dumped inside. Mikko Rantanen will pick it up near side. Conn Smythe Trophy co-favorite entering the Western Conference Final. Now it looks like it's a battle between McDavid, Draisaitl, and you could say Sergei Bobrovsky on this category. Jamie Benn frees up left point. A quick shot was blocked. Liam Bishop wanted to get that one onto the goal. His shot was deflected by Jason Robertson in Game 3 for Robertson's first goal of the postseason as Alex Petrovic waits and fires another block in front by the Oilers. They blocked a lot of shots, and they've been known for tenacious shot blocking, and they play a game that is a hybrid East-West and North-South style game. You know some of these teams with superstars that they use hybrid styles, East-West and North-South. Nurse picks it up. After 50 seconds of zone time for the Stars, he clears it out. Bishop will play this one away from Vasily Podkolzin. Alex Petrovic, he waits from his own zone. Entry feed right inside for the far side as Marchment sent it in deep for Duchene. Wallman tied it up, the former Red Wing and former Shark. Adam Henrique deflected that from Leon Draisaitl. There's 22 left in the period. Henrique gets tangled up, so did Wallman. Duchene brings it back inside. No even strength points for Duchene in this postseason. That's something that you never usually hear of from Duchene. And this is someone that scored the series winner against the Avalanche last year. In overtime, nonetheless. Double overtime. 3 seconds. Here's one last chance for Duchene. Gotta shoot it quickly. And that one blocked by Wallman. And right onto the mesh to end the second. Even though Roope Hintz got one back, Connor McDavid puts the Oilers within 20 minutes of their second straight Stanley Cup final.
Yeah, and you said it all, because again, in the previous sequence, we show his goal, and then just a gargantuan level rebound to the left side of the crease. If there was any Oiler, any sort of daylight there, that's a 5-2 game, and this one might be all wrapped up, but as it is, Stars down 2, that Connor McDavid goal might be a killer. We'll see what ends up happening in the final set of 20.
Yeah, boys, it needs to be said that this game it's already relatively high scoring, 6 goals in 2 periods here. But if it weren't for Skinner, especially in this most recent period, I mean, there were multiple. And I think we need more than just one set of fingers on one hand to count the serious chances that Dallas had. Skinner obviously was beaten on a deflection off of his own teammate's stick. Who knows if that had been a direct shot, what would have happened? It did look like he was in position. And he has been absolutely outstanding tonight. So I think with that combination, with the simple threat of the McDavids of the world and the Dreisaitl's of the world, like you talked about, Alec, it is a tall task for these Dallas Stars. Not impossible, certainly not impossible. They didn't book their tickets to Cancun yet, as Ian acknowledged. But you know what? We're going to be holding our breath, as all Stars fans are, during this last, what should be, if you're an Edmonton fan, the last period. We'll see, boys, though. It's going to get wild. It's been a wild one. Tons of skill, and these goalies have been doing their best. Who knew that we'd see Ottinger on the bench? Still can't get over that one.
Yeah.
So, go ahead, Ian.
Oh, by the way, gentlemen, so I was just thinking it over, and I was thinking about when Connor McDavid scored that goal. Don't ask me how this entered my mind, but 8 years ago, I was introduced to what the Oilers were through one of Tree's videos, and the first thing some of the first names he says in that video were Connor McDavid and 2 of his old teammates. For any hockey historians or anyone keeping track in the record books, Connor McDavid, before Leon Draisaitl and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins and Zach Hyman, played with guys such as Drake Believing Kajula and Anton Shlepichev. So I don't know why that just randomly came to me, but I just found it funny how much changes in 8 years.
Edmonton has not exactly been a shining star in the era of McDavid. Again, Cooper's going to know that better than anybody as far as anyone in the Pacific Division. They've gotten to the point now, but it's not been easy for them to get there.
No, you're right, John. I mean, obviously, knowing my fandom and the lifelong rooting for those sweet little Calgary Flames, those upstart Flames, they make the playoffs every once in a while. And yeah, it was always a bit of a relief to know that the Oilers had players around Connor McDavid like the ones that you just mentioned, Ian. But it's a different story now, and we're seeing the fruits of the work of the front office, putting a team together that can, put other teams on their heels in a major way. And Dallas, I'm not sure exactly who you can count on to turn this thing around. You have the Robertsons. He's already scored. You have the Rantanens, excuse me. But can you really, is there evidence to be able to rely upon them in the last 20 minutes here? Not necessarily, and that's a credit, as Connor McDavid has made an effort to emphasize. That's a credit to the Oilers' defense, which doesn't often get a ton of credit.
I want to mention the stat reset. We'll just give you a score. I'm not going to go in depth. But 86-65, the Knicks trying to hold off the Pacers in efforts to keep their season alive. They're in good standing right now. That back at MSG in their Game 5. It's 18-13 on the shot board between the Oilers. They have 32-20 on the hits, 20-16 on the draws. And it's 1-2 on both sides in between power plays, as it's a 4-2 lead for the Edmonton Oilers. Again, the Rope Hintz goal on the power play was big, but the Connor McDavid one might be the biggest one of them all. Cooper, I'm going to throw this to you because it's been a while since you and I worked together, and at some point, again, we will get a duo game because I do want to make sure and catch up with you. I don't know if we're going to do that for all 4 of us, but at least be able to do this now. I have to ask you this critical question. I don't want to try to leave you too much on an island, but you know where I'm going to go here because I mentioned to you about the Leafs. But how are you going to remember the core 4 in your eyes?
You know, John, this is interesting because we're talking about a Brad Treliving team, right? And recently we were talking about a Brad Treliving team in Alberta, and it wasn't the Oilers. We were talking about the Flames. And we're staring down a very similar situation. And listen, his name already came up once, as it should. We talked about Johnny Gaudreau in terms of his skill and his speed and being one of the better forwards in the game while he was here and graced us with his presence. You know, I'm thinking about him because I'm thinking about the inevitable Marner typhoon that's about to hit us. Yeah. And Treliving is staring another situation in the face where you could have one of the better players in the league exit your roster for zero, for zip, zilch, and nada. And that is going to be salt in the wound for Leafs fans. It's I would say highly unlikely. Obviously, share your thoughts. I think it's very unlikely, unless they just pour money over him, that Marner stays in Toronto. And I'm not sure he's interested after his treatment by the media and some fans, if he is even thinking about remaining there. So, you know, I'm thinking about the core four, and do I necessarily want them to be broken up? No. As a fan, I think there's something interesting about that. You know, obviously it rolls off the tongue. It's fun to watch players of that caliber work with one another. But this is maybe a theme that has emerged throughout tonight. We've talked about it with the Hurricanes. We've talked about it with this Dallas Stars team. We've talked about it, and we're going to talk about it now with Toronto. When you reach a certain level of success but cannot extend beyond it, how much sand is in the hourglass before changes are mandatory? And we've reached that point. Some of it will be thrust upon Treliving because of players' choices. They have the freedom to do so, and others will just happen because it is time. It's just the way sports are. I don't think Matthews is going anywhere. He probably, I would imagine, will be a lifelong Maple Leaf. But boys, jump in there. I don't necessarily, like, my thesis is this: I don't necessarily want them to be broken up, but I do think it is time.
Go ahead, Alec.
That's how it's the same that's one of the assessments that are very tough to handle. We know Marner for sure is gone. He's going to get a lot of money in free agency. The Leafs are going to have their work cut out for them in structuring the best roster possible. If Marner leaves, does that open up a scenario in which you have the cap space necessary to fill in the rest of your team? I know the hockey guy, Shannon, said that when John Tavares was signed, he was asking, what about the rest of the depth? He made the argument that once Tavares was signed, and then afterwards with all the money handed out to the big four players in Matthews, Marner, Nylander, and Tavares, the team was built incorrectly. They need to prioritize depth. It's nice to have star talent, but depth wins you playoff games. You have some depth, but the depth that you had didn't compare to the level of depth that Florida has. Florida does also have their sense of star power in Barkov and Tkachuk. Toronto does have their own, but they don't have the same amount of depth that Florida has. They need to keep up with the depth to make sure that they can compete with the likes of the Panthers and not have Game 7. Game 7 was the wake-up call for that to happen. You let Marner walk, probably bring Tavares back on a hometown discount, and then that's where you can go with everything else. Do you trade Nick Robertson for a guy like Mason Marchment? Do you sign someone like Trent Frederick or Brandon Tanev to the team? And what happens to Morgan Riley? If you want to prioritize team defense, do you want to get someone like a Mario Ferraro? And if Riley goes, do you go out and get John Klingberg to have him quarterback the second power play unit? Because he's had his best results when playing next to a defensive-minded defenseman, such as the case with Jake Wallman. Where Ferraro could have similar results. Goaltending set. Defense is mostly set. It's just the bottom six forward core that needs figuring out.
Here's the interesting part for me, and Cooper, I think you and I, next year when we get back into Flames games and all that, we'll probably have a celebration at this, because you know this name better than anyone else. Been alongside for Sam Bennett. Maybe it's interesting enough for Toronto and say, hey, we already have goal scoring. We could just flip Mitch Marner for Sam Bennett. But the point I want to make is this. for those that want to criticize everything on the core four, I get it. They haven't accomplished everything else together, and that really definitely hurts considering the offensive talent that they had. They just weren't able to get it done when it mattered, scoring dirty goals, getting in the areas, figuring out those things in the playoffs. But let's not lose sight of the fact that it's a 100-point player coming back into free agency. If the Calgary Flames sign one Mitch Marner, Cooper, you and I are throwing our hands up in the air and having a celebration, are we not?
No question about it, 100%.
So I'm thinking the same thing on the side for the Wings. Two teams that really want to try to get something and add to it. And I think maybe those will be situations where Mitch could be. And you know what the worst case scenario would be if you're Toronto was to have Mitch Marner just flip-flopping alongside with Sam Bennett and take a little bit of a discount. Because I know we've had some of those talks and alongside Paul Bissonnette that just made it at the end. I know he's a Leafs lifer and this and that and all that. But talk about state income tax and all of that. Well, you could talk about teams like the Rays, the Marlins, some of these other ones that have been bad for a long time. Oh, that didn't take advantage of the Panthers for a long time until they changed their culture, their coaching staff, and made a big trade and alongside for Huberdeau and Kachuk. So I don't know if the income tax thing is much of an advantage as they say it is, but I do want to just close on the fact that Marner, let's not just think that he's just a part of that Toronto Maple Leafs core that didn't get it done, because he's going to be an outstanding piece. And I do think, honestly, if I put my money on it, he will win a cup outside of Toronto.
So, and Cooper, so I want to get your opinion on this because I've shared my opinions on this with both John and Alec. And that is, I do believe Craig Berube has what it takes to end the 50-plus year cup drought that plagues Toronto, as he did for the St. Louis Blues. But I think what has to happen, outside of Matthews and Nylander and a few others, Berube has to be given the opportunity to do it with guys of his choosing. When he won with St. Louis, sure, it was a roster assembled during the years of Mike Yeo, but he coached those guys as an assistant, so he was familiar with them. I assumed incorrectly that he could go in and win a cup with another guy's players. I don't think he can. I don't think he's that kind of coach. What do you say to that?
I agree with you. Fundamentally, I absolutely agree with you. I think that there are certain other teams that come to mind. Now, obviously, they're at different stages of their life cycle. I do think about groups like the Penguins. I even think about, to some extent, there's been some youth turnover there, but I do think to some extent about the kind of the core battery of the LA Kings, which is going to be coming to a close here in a relatively short period of time. Now, obviously, those are teams having varying levels of success. And Toronto, I think, with the core four, is obviously is at least, if not leaps and bounds, a good step above teams that I've just mentioned. Certainly the Penguins, but Berube has shown where he shines most. I think it falls into what you described, and I think that what gives me some hope for Toronto is that Brad Treliving spent a long time in Calgary, and he worked with multiple coaches. But I never had a sense, nor do I have now, John, Alec, you can certainly jump back in as well. I never got a sense that he was outright fighting a coach on their system or bristling against a coach asking for a certain type of player to help their system work. Certainly, the best example I have is with Daryl Sutter's return. Yep. He's obviously a very opinionated, kind of old school type of coach. The roster, you can make arguments about how that roster was constructed, but I didn't see Treliving getting in the way there. So I think they can have a partnership. I think they do have one. It will be tested. That's the only reason I have some doubts, because if Berube gets maybe a little bit more opinion in there and Treliving says, okay, I'm going to go get what you want, and they still have the same Toronto repeats, right? First round, second round, off to the golf course. I think that's where both of those gentlemen could find themselves looking for jobs.
You jump in, Alan.
Yeah, I think Cooper said everything that has to be said here.
I want to know, again, this is more of rapid fire because we're in the final 3.5 minutes. It's difficult for you to probably answer here, Alec, but you're truthful. So is everyone else in here. We all try to give our best opinions, best and brightest during this broadcast. It is Rod Brind'Amour, and it is Peter DeBoer. I'm going to assume the Dallas Stars, if they win today or whatnot, let's say they're both eliminated after tonight. Critical question on Carolina and Dallas. Does one coach get fired? Do both coaches get fired? Or does neither get fired? What say you guys?
I think the scenario here is that DeBoer's more likely to get fired than Brind'Amour. The difference between the Hurricanes and the Stars is that the Hurricanes came into the playoffs with no expectations after last year's all-in push didn't work between Jake Guentzel, Evgeny Kuznetsov, and the core that they assembled with last year. This year, the Hurricanes had a lesser talented roster, but they made everything work with team fit. The Mikko Rantanen trade didn't pan out, and the midst of everything not panning out with Rantanen, there was a gem that was hidden there. Taylor Hall, who was a seamless fit on the Carolina system. This is a system that doesn't really favor superstars, but the message is clear for the Hurricanes. You have to go big game hunting after you made it to the Eastern Conference Final, because the Hurricanes, they were outclassed in every facet by a vastly superior, more talented team in the Florida Panthers. The difference in talent was clear, and the difference in roster construction was clear. Dallas, on the other hand, was one of the teams that was expected to go to the Stanley Cup Final. Many pointed to their plethora of forward depth. Many were pointing towards goaltending being two of the key reasons on why they would make it towards the Stanley Cup Final. But the one thing that I know that can hold them back is coaching, because Peter DeBoer tends to be stubborn and not adjust to his opponents. Chris Knobloch is only in the league for 2 years on a full-time head coaching basis, and he's already proving that he is one of the bright young minds in the NHL. So I think it may be time for a change of pace for Dallas. But the other question is, who else is there on the open head coaching market?
Yeah, and I'll just simply add, I think because of the deep multi-decade connection that Rod Brind'Amour has with Carolina, I just don't see them severing that tie right away, especially not when you continue to, even, like if you got a basketball in your hand and you're trying to dunk and you can get rejected by the rim, you're close to dunking. I don't think you're playing basketball. You know what I mean? Eventually it gets frustrating. You want to leave. You want to kick that ball over the chain link fence and go home and have some dinner and cry about it. But I don't think they're giving up. That's a silly analogy. So thanks for riding along with me on that one. But you know what I mean? I just don't think that you're giving up trying to dunk. So Brind'Amour stays, and I do agree with Alec. I think that DeBoer could be in danger here, especially if this game gets ugly in the next 20 minutes.
Go ahead, Ian. But do you want to take this third?
Listen, I appreciate it. I would love to just stay along, John. I to be honest, I want to be a fan. I want to hear what you got for this third, because this is a pivotal one. You guys have earned it. I think if we continue, maybe if we get into the Stanley Cup, maybe I'll jump in for a period or two.
All right, Alec, do you mind taking this starting half?
Let's do it.
Okay.
All right, so now
when we get a break again, I'll give my answer on the question.
Absolutely, Ian. I didn't mean to cut you off. I know we're going right into it, so we'll do that right after the break.
Yeah, Stuart Skinner covers it up. So Dallas has 4 third-period comeback victories this postseason, which is the most in the NHL. But they play from behind for so much in this postseason that it's just not sustainable here. And we're just finding that out here in the Western Conference Final, as Jake Ottinger's still on the bench, which is still something that we're not used to seeing. But he was vastly outplayed by Stuart Skinner all Western Conference Final long. And Casey DeSmith is into that, something that we never thought we would even hear in this Western Conference Final. In the playoffs, the 4 comeback wins when trailing after 2 periods is an NHL record, or tied for it rather. Rantanen dancing around. Rantanen centers one up for Robertson, fires and scores! Jason Robertson with his second!
Dallas fans, where are you at? Because, over the last few years, alongside Alec Cooper and I and everyone else, where's Jason Robertson in the playoffs? He scored 4 goals in the last 3 games, and now his team is within 1, right off the rush.
Oh, boy, oh, boy, oh, boy. They must have heard me and got mad because I said Dallas hasn't shown us that they can come out of the room ready to go. Less than 40 seconds into the third, it's a 1-goal game.
And it was all set up by Mikko Rantanen, who has not scored in his last 7 games. We know he has the propensity to take over games at any moment. And just 1 minute, it took 1 minute for Robertson to get the Stars within 1. Again, he has scored 4 of the last 5 Stars goals. He's been on a tear as of late. Opening minute of this third period, Mason Marchment takes it up towards the right side across the line. Fire one directly onto Skinner, who covers 5-hole.
I know it's not the most enlightening take that I'm about to deliver, but it's one of those on-again, off-again type games for Stuart Skinner. We're seeing it now. That one beats him clean 5-hole, no screen. He just can't close it in time. Kleinberg's there, but he can't close out Robo. Get shots to the net now for Dallas. Leave it all on the line. You can win this game.
Yes, you can. It's John Klingberg he wanted to close out. Klingberg has known Robertson for just 2 years. As the Stars, they transition to a new era. Klingberg was the number 2 defenseman in the later years in Dallas, right when Miro Heiskanen was on the up and up. Heiskanen's on the hold right around the far boards. Too many Stars get spun around. Back to a 1-goal game as fans are trying to put the hex on Big Stu. The Smith played out for Heiskanen, who gets bumped towards the near quarter. And this is a place in which the Stars have been all used to here, being one of the best teams in the third period. But the Oilers are also one of the best teams in the third period, too. At the near quarter, Sagan tried to center one across. Nobody there. Harley had it poked away from him in a moment. Darnell Nurse got onto him and put the body on him. That was Keeps right behind, and it's Rantanen. Center went back up for Wyatt Johnson. Curling drag move. But what a good block there on the pass as Victor Arvidsson will go across. Arvidsson curling drag. Heiskanen was there to block it. Arvidsson holds it, goes around for the near side. Rushing on is Klingberg to keep it in. Robertson there to prevent that from going all the way through. And Dallas will focus one for center. Glove down by Klingberg for Jeff Skinner. Skinner will look at the far side. He is in the lineup because Connor Brown is still out of the lineup. Big reverse hit by Liam Bishop. For the near side, Skinner can't handle it. Klingberg can. Across to Wallman, whose shot was blocked off of Robertson's stick. And the Oilers in a heap of trouble here as Dallas will pick it up. Michael Granlund on the near side, taking it with rope hits. Onside as Skinner got this right by Mason Marchment. A bump towards the right point. This one blocked right in front, bounced onto Adam Henrique. Hintz kept it in off the attempted clear. Hintz got to the far corner. Centering pass back for Granlund. Granlund fires, it's blocked. And then it comes back for Klingberg, who can't handle it. Gets it from Frederick. And now a return feed from Klingberg to Frederick. Frederick gets across the blue line. He is surrounded by 2 Stars. And now the takeaway here for Granlund. Can't get much out of that as he was closed out by Jeff Skinner. He'll get the feed and overskate that puck. Esa Lindell fires it around. Skinner playing this one out for Wallman. 3 minutes gone here in period number 3. Both teams change. Jamie Benn's line is on. Is this the last ride for Ben here? Dallas better hope not. Around for the left circle. Taking his one in front. Centering pass, score! Leon Draisaitl!
You gotta be kidding me. Did that hit something in front of the net? I didn't get a clear look at it. I'm glad you got the call, Alec. That was just a bouncing puck. And to Smith, I mean, he just looks up. There's nothing else he could do. I'm looking at this now. Yeah, it went off the Esa Lindell skates. You gotta be kidding me.
I don't believe it as DeSmith looks up to the big board looking at his own replay. Yes, it does. It goes off of the left toe of Esa Lindell's skate. Kane, I believe, last to touch it, will get credit for the goal. But you're right. Alec Draisaitl was right there. He would have put it in if there were a rebound. I can't believe it. I cannot believe it, boys. It's 5-3. Dallas just cannot escape this 2-goal deficit.
Yeah, they just can't at all. Even if they want to get back into this game to save themselves. They're going to credit this goal to Evander Kane for the moment. but I thought it was Leon Draisaitl. We'll check the official box score to see if it changes from Draisaitl or Kane as Haskins' shot was blocked off his skate. Wendell throws one towards the net. Rebounded from putt, and Blackwell, he thought he scored. We thought so too. But Stuart Skinner might have got a pad on it. I can't believe it. Stuart Skinner, right after he gave up the goal to Jason Robertson, he makes up for it with a spectacular save. Oh my goodness. Then back of it on the backhand is Tyler Seguin, who has 2 years left on his deal right after this season. Pivoting is Harley from the point. Deep shot blocked by Draisaitl in front. He'll skate towards his puck and fire it past Harley. Draisaitl sets up at the far corner, wanting to get this one out. Tied up is Cade. Evander Cade places for Draisaitl. Can't get the return feed back. Held inside the right point as Cade goes back as this rolls towards the far corner. 11 points in the playoffs for Evander Cade, the third most by a player who missed the entire regular season. We think of guys who miss the entire regular season, but then show up in the playoffs along the lines of Nikita Kucherov in 2021 as this goes out.
Yeah, you mentioned it alongside. You lose Hyman, you get Kane back, you get Ekholm back. It's an embarrassment of riches. It's a deep team. And Cooper had talked about it, that extra goal. You got Connor McDavid there from Rope Hands. Then you get Robo, that extra goal there, the bounce off Kane. It goes back to 2. Dallas, they're trying to creep their way back into this tug of war, but then they lose control of that rope for a moment. And that might be the kill shot.
Yeah, no question, John. But there's a lot of time here. 15, 16 to go in the third. That could be an eternity. And as they say, 2-goal lead, the most dangerous in hockey. Johnson going to take the face-off here, and he loses it. Oilers in the O-zone.
They're cycling around the offensive zone as Brett Kulak. Normally a right shot D. He's playing normally a left shot D. Playing on the right side. It's offside because of how well the Oilers are doing with Mattias Ekholm back. Ekholm's return prompted Kulak to go to the second pair. He filled in nicely on the top pair next to Evan Bouchard, and did so admirably as the stay-at-home partner. Jeff Skinner, oh my goodness, he almost had another one. It would be nice seeing Jeff Skinner getting 2 here. Not just because he's a former Carolina Hurricane, but this is also because it's his first career playoff appearance. Second career playoff game. He hadn't had much of an impact on the first one. Game 1 against LA. Despite the 6-5 finish. But this has been a high-scoring track meet. And track meets, this is the style of game that the Oilers thrive on. You want low-scoring games? Edmonton has you covered. Track meets, Edmonton also has you covered. Dallas can go for track meets, but what if you run into a team that also likes track meets? Meet the Edmonton Oilers, that is. From the near side, Bud Colson tied up, but that frees up the space for Mattias Janmark down the middle on his former team. Janmark, Arvidsson ready up for the one-timer, but all options were closed off. Back is Esa Lindell as he sends this one up. Right off of John Klingberg, Jamie Benn in pursuit. Sticked away as Granlund got onto Klingberg's face. Sharp angle shot, and there's another stop by Big Stu.
Hey, Ian, if you want to go ahead as we get into the commercial break, give me your thoughts in between Rod Brind'Amour and Peter DeBoer. Let's say it's done after today for DeBoer. Do you think either one of those coaches are gone?
Peter DeBoer, yeah, I think Peter DeBoer is gone. As for Brind'Amour, I was on the fence about it. I was leaning towards him being gone after the series, but then I was talking it over with my pops, and I noted to him that Carolina really doesn't have that guy. And when I said that, he said, maybe it's a good idea not to get rid of him until you see him with that guy. And I agree. So Carolina goes big game hunting in the offseason. Gives them, let's say, if they pull that off, give Brind'Amour 2 seasons with that guy. But they still can't break that glass ceiling, then time for a change.
I was going to say really quickly before we get stepped back in again, we thought about it all the way through Game 3, and I know the message he sent me is like, get rid of him. And then I was thinking the same thing. That win that Carolina got might have saved his job in behind the bench.
And as we mentioned about big game hunting, this is why I'm advocating for Brock Besser. He's a playoff performer, and he's willing to go to the net. You need guys that are willing to go to the net. Get an ideal net front presence. This is where Besser comes in.
You're going to need it again here with 13:50. Al, you get set to take it away for a little bit longer.
On the 5-3 lead for Edmonton, Game 5, Western Conference Final, and Oilers win will pin them with a date with destiny with the Florida Panthers in the Stanley Cup Final again. It will be the third Stanley Cup Final rematch since the 80s. The pass came out, never made his way towards the net. Bouchard can't close off his man, Janmark could, but he gets tied up by Mikko Rantanen. Back at the far corner, Mattias Ekholm, the Viking, in his first game back from an injury which he sustained in mid-April. He re-injured himself in April after he initially injured himself in March. For the far side, hits, passes it back, long shot, deflected, never made its way towards the crease, and the Oilers play this one out. Lifted on down the distance as Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, that was backed away by Casey DeSmith, Thomas Harley, slowing things down. Leon Draisaitl surveying, a little fake, and then back for Harley, Miro Heiskanen out there on the ice. For the near side, bounced up towards the near wall. Kasperi Kapanen gets this one all the way down. Had an empty netter in Game 4 of this series. His first goal of this postseason was the series clincher against Vegas in a 1-0 overtime victory. Jake Wallman closed off his man. Draisaitl's in trouble at the far corner. Moves it down for the far half boards. And then it's centered up to center ice by Darno Nurse. Nurse sends it in for the far side. First one back at Ceci. Lindell will pick it up in his own zone. About 2.5 more minutes until I hand this one back to John. But this has been a fun contest up throughout. John Klingberg towards the far corner. Ceci's back there. Ceci chopped away at it while the Stars fell down. Henrique's over the puck as he is pressuring the Dallas Stars. The Oilers playing more defense here in this third period. They've been a reliable defensive team under Chris Knobloch because the defensive whisperer Paul Coffey on the staff, an Oiler legend among that coaching ranks. All the way deep, Henrique will let this go for Nurse. With the far side, Jeff Skinner let it go. The far side, copped up, and Klingberg slowly skates it up near side. Sent it right behind the Smith's crease. Right behind the net, the Stars trying to play this puck, and McDavid and company have them all hounded. For some reason, they were not able to clear the zone for that much amount of time as Leon Bischel strikes down his man again. Another fierce hit. This puck up for grabs. It'll be Thomas Harley. The game is sort of slowed down here as Bischel will go for Rantanen. McDavid picks it up at his own crease. McDavid across, all the way across the ice as Arvidsson tried to kick it out. For the far half boards, Ekholm all over the puck on the defensive zone. This one up into the air as it was knocked away by Perry. In the far corner, Johnson wants to center it for Thomas Harley. Harley and Johnson switch spots. Bouchard in the way. McDavid wanting to pry it free. Comes out towards the front. The only one who found it was Corey Perry. He'll send this down the distance. Will it be enough for an icing? It will. This is where I hand it over to John.
Well, it looked like the camera crew and everyone else left side of the puck about center ice. Now they're getting Connor McDavid on the essence of a penalty kill. Look, doing all the work. Do what a captaincy should do. I know, Cooper, we talk about it on the opposite side of the jersey there, but he really has been the best player on the ice. And that's most of the time what you need when you want to win a series and go to the Stanley Cup Finals.
Yeah, it's just that simple. And, John, we have a face-off coming up here, so I'll let you jump back in. But there's going to be lots to talk about here in the last 10 minutes or so and beyond. We will see if Dallas can erase this 2-goal disadvantage.
Yeah, I'm going to be bringing in a big point at the break. I know it's going to be hard for Stars fans to hear, but I got to lay down the law. 10:30 left to go in the third. It's some line changes for Chris Knobloch's squad as Miro Heiskanen now will send it in. Dallas' season's on the line, and it looks like the only teams out of 4 between NBA and NHL, other than the Knicks maybe advancing it to the next game. Everyone else had taken down. A 3-1 series is hard to get through, but Dallas hadn't shown enough, with the exception of this game. They just gave up too many goals. It's picked up now across the Texas D. Adam Henrique, a couple of stick blade reaches will force it all the way into Smith. And we are just over the halfway marker of the third and get a stoppage.
Yeah, Mattias Janmark caught the Stars napping on the defensive side of the ice. They wanted to pressure that puck up for out to make sure that they are caught napping and to push this to a free goal lead for the Oilers.
Jim Nill's got to be thinking on the other side, as we talked about it, what more do I have to do to bolster this roster? Because I don't think he can literally do much more, as this is a D-zone draw. So he gets an opportunity now to Shane. This will get one right back. It'll bounce off of the Smith's pads. Mason Marchment leap up out of the air and be recollected across the victory green, right to left with the black pants and the striping as well. Edmonton Oilers in the road whites with the blue tops trying to go back to the Stanley Cup Finals. It would be a repeat match. Sent back in behind the inboards. The Oilers will close it off, flip it in high off the glass. 9:35 left to go in the third. John Ott with you alongside Alec Nava, Cooper Hopkins, and Ian Genge. We got the entire band with us as far as this Game 5 of the Western Conference Final. Florida's already punched their ticket. They were hoping Dallas would win this one to extend to give themselves some extra rest, but it doesn't look that way. Dallas probably has about 4 more minutes where they can run their offense, but once they get to that 5-minute marker, they're going to have to stretch pass and go. Maybe even thinking about an early pull. They got to go all the stops at that point. It's about 4.5 more minutes. Jason Robertson, Wyatt Johnston. This will get canceled off a lob in front, trying to find Lindell, and this will get picked off. Running at the bumper, knocked away from the defense. Vessel Lindell, and now Edmonton, if they're smart with it, they'll just chip it off the glass and play keep away. Don't have to commit too many. Jake Wallman is all the way out in front with Mattias Ekholm. Both defensemen were on the offensive side as the forwards had to play back at the point. Connor McDavid, a little bit of a stick lift. And now the Moose, Nico Ranton, the former Avs, will pick this one up now. You get the long extension with the Stars. Wyatt Johnston, stick handle, center in front of the goal mouth. And this one bounces off of some Oilers' bodies. Rantanen at the point, inconceivably can't be held in. My goodness. Rantanen really should have shot it. He had 5 players in front of the net. You could have easily bounced that off Stuart Skinner, but they elect to pass and lose possession. Long outstretch. One more touch from Perry. Bouchard on his back skate, and that opportunity goes wide. The right side red line. Granlund really turning on the Jets. He's a free agent after all of this. Skinner sends it around the end boards. One of the Oilers falls down. Corey Perry first to get to it. He spent some time with the Stars. This drop pass is a good one. Walk in front of the right dot. Connor McDavid. Slowly around the end boards now. Right side red line. Thomas Harley. About 2.5 more minutes here for Dallas, where they really got to start getting going at that point, as it's Granlund putting it behind the end boards. Leave now for Steele. Right in at the point. Harley got to let it go. He was all sort of dispossessed by a couple of sticks, and now Perry will chip it down to Harley. So some changes here for Edmonton's side. Peter DeBoer and the Thomas Harley Dallas Stars will try to get this one across Texas D. Podkolzin. Flip it in the left side red line. Here's a battle alongside for Victor Arvidsson. Takes another hit. Man, he's going to need some ice bags. Keeping alongside his right skate. Excellent work. He's trying to get around that body positioning of Bischel, but he's about 6'7", 240. Bischel loads him down. Takes him down with a stick. Picked up now for Steele. Steele now off the flip. Now alongside off the rush. As this be recollected off the back skate. Darnell Nurse for the pin against the boards. This is exactly what Edmonton wants to do now. Just kill time. At the point, slapper. And this will be a glove save for Skinner. It's been a while since he had to touch the puck.
That's just the 4th shot attempt for the Stars in the last 8+ minutes and counting. They're not getting a lot of offense because the Oilers' defense is just shutting them down on all ends. You rarely see Mattias Ekholm and Jake Wallman leading the rush because they're defensive defensemen. But with the way the Oilers are playing, they're just toying with them defensively.
Yeah, Alec, you really laid it out there for us. I mean, I think in a game of this magnitude, now obviously you're playing a team of the highest caliber. This is a team that was in the Stanley Cup Final, went to Game 7 last year, looks set to return there again. But I don't think 18 shots, many of those being low danger, is enough in a situation like this. And Skinner deserves a ton of credit, but I don't know what it was. I'm not sure if it was just scheme or the fact that the first good chunk of our first period was all Edmonton. Dallas has shown flashes. They've gotten the puck behind their opponent's netminder, but they each time, this has not now happened not once but twice, each time, even if it was fluky, That's hockey. It happens sometimes. They have allowed that 2-goal deficit to return, and it has rattled them each time. They just have not returned to that level of energy that they had in the arena or on the ice after getting those goals. It's taken them too long to bounce back and find their top-level game.
Yeah, it has, Cooper. And again, I look on the long side of it. At the start of the series last year, Skinner was 4-2, Ottinger was 2-4. Save percentage for Jake Ottinger was about .905. Now you can add 3 more losses, 4-7 in this series so far if they don't hold. And he's being outplayed by Stuart Skinner. Like, we talk about his numbers being completely hot and cold. If you had an MVP as far as what you could do in this series, he probably would win it, because he already has 3 shutouts. Again, coming back from a Game 2 against the LA Kings, if not for Jim Hiller, the Kings might have knocked out the Edmonton Oilers right away. But as it is, Jake Ottinger just hasn't had the success against this team that we really expected he should have at this point.
No.
Yeah, no, John, you make great points, and I think that we, as we come back to our coverage here, are staring at what I think a lot of pundits expected. I think that a rematch was always something that had some pretty decent odds, and by decent I mean very good. And of course, I'm afraid of the Panthers getting another chance, or the Oilers, I should say, another chance of the Panthers. But either way, John, it's back to you. Just under 7 minutes to go here in the third. Can the Stars get one in?
We'll talk about more of that. We still got a lot left on the table here with 6:25, but it's whether or not the Stars can actually push the other way. Edmonton, they'd taken that 1-game embarrassment where they kind of collapsed, and they absolutely controlled this series all the way through after that. We have to say it that way. Jason Robertson's found his goal-scoring touch. Already got 2, but they need a hat trick out of him, which is a lot to ask, as this is sent the other way. Alongside for Esa Lindell, 2 goals on 3 shots at 15.5 of ice time. Probably should have more, all things considered, if you're Peter DeBoer, to be honest with you. As it's Lindell, take his pass alongside CC as this one kisses off the glass, goes back to Esa, and off a long flip. Dallas defense in the middle of a change, but now they got to win some puck battles. Starts with the dispossessed there. Lindell to the traffic without hit a bunch of bodies. Connor McDavid has been excellent in this game, and it's not just scoring goals, but he's been so noticeable defensively, and he's wanted to will his team to the Stanley Cup Finals. I know we said that in the first, but that's what we've seen in this game. And it doesn't take a rocket scientist to say when your best players play at their best, that's when you have your advantage. Stars have not been able to do that. Sent back in behind the inboards now. CC off the pinch. Former Oiler. Now toward the right side is Rantanen. Lost it. There's a stick blade toward that left side dot, but this will roll outside the zone. And that's going to get picked up now for CC. You have to send it back around again. Now you're down to the final 5 minutes of the third. John Ott with you alongside Alec Nava, Ian Genge, Cooper Hopkins. Here's an opportunity for Jamie Benn. He sweeped at it, but he couldn't find it. As this is flipped back in along the inboards. Flip back down the ice. Petrovic will have to start again from right to left for the victory green. That's what they need. Bischel going on the rush now with Hintz. Hintz with the bothered foot and all on the right side, just trying to find it, and you're not feeling it at this point. You got to find some will. Now Petrovic, try to get dispossessed by Kane. He was right there. Again across the red line. It was a hopeful pass for Hintz, but it bounced off his back skate. Settle back down across the neutral zone for Liam Bischel. Shot board 21-17, and as Cooper said it, admittedly, it's not enough. He's exactly right. The only team to lose 3 straight conference finals since '68 was the Islanders, and the Dallas Stars about to join them in 4:05. Opportunity in their own end. Here's Edmonton. Gain the red line safely, flip it in. No mistakes on the other end. That's all they need to do. Thomas Harley, he could be one of those future captaincies for Dallas. This is sent back in and amongst the inboards. Mikko Rantanen. And off the tie-up now with Robertson. This goes back to Harley. This is tipped. Turnaround shot gets spun off a skate blade. Edmonton now picking up with Janmark. He spent some fourth-line time, and last year scored some critical goals against the Panthers when they forced 7. Mattias will go ahead and send it in as Chris Knobloch's squad takes a change. 3:25 left to go in the third. This does not give you the same vibes that the Avalanche and Lightning did in 2022 when we covered that, Cooper, because I'm not seeing the push the other way just yet. This will be sent back down on ice. That's the last thing Dallas needed.
It's a pass miss for Tyler Seguin. You need to touch up on the puck to give yourselves a chance. We're waiting to see if Casey Smith gets pulled, but right now, not right now because of the icing. They're forced all the way back, and you need to drive all the distance.
Yeah, by no means, boys, would I say that this Dallas team has given up. Far from it. They are going to work very hard in what seems to be the remaining few minutes here in their season. But, John, you alluded to it a moment ago. The energy is just not where it needs to be, and you can see that in play. Something as simple as icing can be an indicator. I'll let you get back into that play-by-play.
Try to work from 200 feet now. That's what Dallas needs to do. Marchment is passenger to flip the ice. He turns it over. Kapanen will miss it all. He was just trying to walk in. He got an easy wrist shot. Didn't have to think anything more of it. Because the last thing you want to do for Edmonton is throw it back. We're not going to do that here with a 2-goal lead. Harley have to start this again from his own end. Right in across center ice. Gain the red. They got to find someone to chip the puck and chase it, actually. Mikko Rantanen looks very slow out there right now as this one gets flipped back down. Long scale. Empty net. The Smith is out. Harley, it's an extra attacker here for Dallas, and they can't find the catch near the right side. We flip back around for Stuart Skinner. This be sealed down the ice. It's rolling end over end, and hence will not be able to get the icing. Dallas crowd's not going to like that as the time continues to be killed. Kel Granlund trying to work this like a power play, but they got to go up the ice. They go back. Here's a long outstretched pass from the right wing. Doesn't hit Hintz. RNH bounces off of his skate, and now Dallas might actually be able to get to this finally, as this one is flipped into the players' bench. Now it goes back to the right dot. We get a stoppage, 154.
What are the Dallas Stars doing? I don't know what they're trying to accomplish here this late in the game, because they look sluggish here and slow, even after Jake Ottinger gets pulled, and even after scoring the second Jason Robertson goal, they just haven't gotten anything towards the net. I get the Oilers have a tight defensive structure. You got to drive to the net.
If you can't even get puck entries, I don't know what to say. Go ahead, Cooper.
No, that's it, John. I mean, you gave a specific example. The examples are everywhere now, and that's with both goaltenders on the bench for Dallas. Yeah. You can see it in their eyes. Looks like this thing is wrapping up here soon.
Edmonton off an outstretch looking for a breakout. Rantanen trying to hold off the steal. Dallas going to have to check back up. They were offsides as we're just about 90 seconds left. Edmonton's going to go back to the Stanley Cup Finals, but hold on first. Dallas will get an icing and an ozone draw.
I have no words to speak of this. But from the start, you had the feeling that this was going to be the result. But nonetheless, out of all the 4 conference finals, we're seeing that the Knicks, they're the only ones forcing a Game 6 on the Indiana Pacers.
Yeah, certainly doesn't seem to be the case here. We just saw a shot of Jason Robertson moments ago, and he came to play tonight. Some of his teammates unable to raise their level, and they're getting closer now to ending their season at the hands of the Edmonton Oilers.
Rope Hintz, he's just trying to do the draw 3 times. Let's just drop it here, Zebra. So Rope on the other end, Nostra maybe off a push. Let's see. As this one is one in between the legs. It's contested toward the left side red line. Robo now will spin it around. Granlund try to get some inside out position here on Adam Henrique. He will get it away from Bouchard. We're not at the point. This pass is flopped. Oh my goodness. Picked up now just off the outstretch. This is a yawning cage on the other end as Henrique. He takes a hit. Smartly, he's just going to keep it in his own zone. He doesn't have to go for it if he doesn't want to. Draisaitl will miss the net. And now Edmonton, again, they'll slap it around the end boards and miss it. Mikko Rantanen's got to turn on some burners or whatever he's got left. He goes for a pass in between the skates, and this will go for not an ice. Is that one I can't believe that Rantanen didn't hold. Down to 48 seconds now. Miro Heiskanen. Now for Granlund. He takes the slap shot entry. This is not a regular season game, boys. Back in behind the end boards here. Left side red line. Here's a wraparound, and this goes right to Edmonton. Back in behind Rantanen. He runs into himself into the boards, loses the puck. Robertson trying to spin it around. Mikko now will give it right to Edmonton. They'll take a long flip, glove it down by Robo. He's been the best guy on the ice. Shane will send this one in, and this will go up and on a play with 20 seconds left in the third.
This is a sad effort from the Dallas Stars right after that Robertson goal in the third period. It's just sad because we're seeing a team that has been so good at scoring goals go into this. I'm sorry, but this effort was just sad.
You know what? I have to agree. My fandom aside, like obviously I'm not going to pretend I wanted Dallas to extend this series, but I feel not just disappointed. It's a little depressing to feel the air not only just leave the fans and the building, but to seem to be the lungs, the breath, the life is just emptying out of these Stars.
And let's add to it, gentlemen. Empty netter. 10.8 left to go in the third. Dallas's season is done. Again, I'll have that official call in another 10 seconds. A little respondents across for all of you. For the third straight year, say goodbye to Texas in the conference final.
And for the second straight year, we have ourselves the same matchup, Florida and Edmonton. A date with destiny. The Miami Beaches clashing with Canada's last hope. Buckle up. This rematch is going to get spicy.
Dallas will not press. They concede. The Edmonton Oilers are going to the Stanley Cup Finals. They win 6-3. Cooper, I can say it now. I'll say it during the preview show. Go Cats. That's what we're hoping for here, admittedly. But for Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, if I have to think about my pick, and I'll do so when we get to that when the time comes, but I think the revenge tour is a pretty good spot for Edmonton.
It is, John. We've talked about a lot of teams making a revenge tour, one of those being the Avalanche, and we've seen varying levels of success. This Oilers team is scary. And if I'm saying it, if a lifelong Flames fan is admitting it, it's got to be real. And there is, as we see on the ESPN feed, former Flames coach Glenn Gulletson, who's a big part of this coaching staff for the Edmonton Oilers. He's been making an impact, as have his compatriots. And this is now just part of the deal for Connor McDavid and his teammates. They are used to burning through opponents and making their way to the top of the mountain, but can they get the prize? They think they are facing a team that they know well, but that it's not going to have them shaking in their boots, guys. I don't think any of us would say that, but the Panthers are the right team to face these Edmonton Oilers. I think that even though it's a rematch and some hockey fans may be a little disappointed, it's that, John, the Michigan Wolverine exhaustions of the world, but when people say, oh, it's always the Wolverines, it's always Ohio State, it's always those teams, pick Alabama, pick the big names in college sports, but this is it. This is what we, I think, expected by and large, and the revenge tour is going to be interesting. Can the Oilers complete it? You guys jump in as this game is now over. 6-3, the final, as the Oilers end the Stars season.
I'll let you close quickly, and then I'll let it quickly for Ian, and then I'll kind of preview what's next.
A little of an emotional embrace between Connor McDavid and Cody Ceci, as we saw former teammates last year, but we know of rematches. Last year was a close call for the Florida Panthers. They were 3-0, but by the final 4 games, they were, even though they won the Stanley Cup at the end, last year they were playing with fire. This year, I think they are going to try to avoid playing with fire as much as possible. They're the deepest team in the league. The Oilers, they are the scariest team in the league with that they have the best player. The Panthers have the best team with the best structure and the most built for this moment playoff team. We know the differences in between the Panthers and the Oilers are stark. Florida, complete north-south hockey. The Oilers, hybrid. A mix of east-west with north-south attached to it. It varies depending on who they deploy on the lineup. But this should be a good one. We don't imagine a near-reverse sweep like last year, but we know revenge factors may be on the mind. The last 2 times we got a Stanley Cup final rematch, the team that was on the losing end of the first matchup won the second matchup between the Gretzky Oilers and the Crosby Penguins.
Any last things for you, Ian, before I close?
So last season, when the finals were over, we said that year was Edmonton's last shot. They proved us wrong. This time, though, it really is the last shot. And I don't think I'm going to be wrong about that, given that Alec has noted, Alec, you, and I believe Coop have noted the cap crunch that is coming the Oilers' way. This is it, fellas. Seriously, make this shot count, because you guys aren't getting back here for the third consecutive time.
Yeah, Ian, I agree with you, John. I'm going to throw in one more thing, too, that applies not only to the team, but most definitely to the big two. We're not talking about the core four on the Oilers, but we're talking about McDavid and Draisaitl. I think McDavid in particular, we've talked about where he sits in the greatest of all time to ever play this game professionally. He is already amongst them. That is well documented and basically inarguable. But he knows better than anyone. Pretty much any name we compare him to, all of those names have at least one Stanley Cup, and he currently has 0. You cannot tell me. This is his Rory McIlroy moment. This is his Masters. He must have it to secure his legacy. He must. Simply must. Or he will always be second best. I don't care how many points and stats you have. He will always be secondary to those greats. So he knows that better than anybody. John, I'll throw it back to you. I cannot wait to hear what you think. Lay it out for us, because we got a heck of a Stanley Cup final coming up soon.
Yes, we do. And again, whether or not it's one of those ones you grit your teeth at a rematch, we want to see the two best teams play each other. And when it's all said and done, the results speak for themselves. But really, in between all of us, gentlemen, we know these are the two best teams that we've been waiting to see them. They fulfilled their destiny. The Oilers, even better than they were last year. The Florida Panthers, you had Brad Marchand, you had Zach Jones. They're even better than they were last year. So it's going to be a hell of a matchup. As we get set to close this up, I just want to mention again, now that it's officially done, the Stanley Cup Final is going to begin on Wednesday. I would imagine it's another 8:15 Eastern start, but I do want to just throw it out there. The Stanley Cup Finals preview show, I will have one the day before. That'll be Tuesday, June 3rd at 6 p.m. Eastern per usual. I'll have all the stats, get you set up for all the excitement. Alec Nava and I will carry it all the way through as promised through a few weeks ago. If Cooper Hopkins joins in, he will get in the play-by-play and some of that stuff too, just so he can be available. And Cooper, I will also message you at the end of it just to make sure we can get some two stuff locked in, because I do have some things I have to catch up with you on toward the end of the year, but look forward to that. It'll be a Tuesday preview show next week. Wednesday we'll start the coverage. Gentlemen, I'm looking forward to it, and I appreciate all of you.
Oh, one last note. Yes, McDavid touched it, but I know I'm not a superstitious guy, but it's ironic that people tend to avoid touching it. But you know, in the times in which Crosby he touched the cup at the Prince of Wales Trophy, he won the cup those years. The one time he didn't, he lost the Stanley Cup Final. The one time Ovechkin touched it, he won that Stanley Cup up. So now McDavid touched it. The Panthers didn't touch the Prince of Wales Trophy. And McDavid with the Clarence Campbell Bowl, that is. But we're not superstitious guys, that is. But sometimes it's a little funny how about people can attribute touching those trophies to being a curse. Yet, Crosby doesn't believe in all of that. I don't believe in all of that either. I think it's just a tradition. It's just a decision whether or not they want to touch it or not. Just preparation for the real challenge that is ahead. Unstoppable force versus another unstoppable force. Bring it on.
Can't wait for it, guys. This has been too long. I'm glad we all four were here. Thank you for letting me jump back in. It's, you know what? When you're with good friends, it's like no time passed at all. We got right back into the flow, and that's because you have all been working so hard, and I can tell. That was a great broadcast tonight, so I was just grateful to be along for it. What a win for the Oilers. They are going to bring a lot of, dare I say it, as a Flames fan, a lot of heat into the, yes, I said it, into the Stanley Cup Finals. And John, let's keep in touch. I'd love to be back on board with you guys. I think the Panthers are going to be able to push back on that heat. Is it going to be rats on the ice for Florida? Is it going to be an oil slick? We will find out. More silly phrases to come. So great work tonight, guys. It was a pleasure.
Gentlemen, you take care, okay?
Take care, everyone.